15 people right out of the chute. 15 thumbs up. What is up? We are live. Kind of the weird thing is the last time I went live, there was like a 20-second delay. It looks like maybe there's not that much of a delay this time. All right, 15 people on the live already. Wow. All right, we have some questions already. Right out of the chute, we have some questions. All right, Havoc's Rain, what is up? What do you do if a male ball python loses a spur? Good question. I've never known a ball python to actually lose a spur. I have no idea what you would do with that. Millerin Madness, what's up? Just got my VE Super 70 rack. Nice. Yeah, that's a nice rack. Have you ever tried target training your snakes? No, never tried target training. Let's see. Detoxins. What would be the best morph to breed to a male Enchi? So, yeah, so Enchi is actually a pattern enhancing gene. I really like taking a pattern enhancing gene and mix it with something else that really scrambles up the pattern. You can actually do like a leopard or a super pastel or something like that. Just two pattern enhancing genes, which would be pretty awesome. Big Birdie, what's up? Stephen Rainey, The Rock Lesnar, what's up? Kingdom Pythons, EDU, what is going on? Haven't seen that name before. Chad Chinsky, thoughts on the Sunset Clown? That sounds like a pretty expensive project. My thoughts are I probably couldn't afford that project. Sunset is really expensive. Then you mix it with a really popular gene like the clown. That would be pretty awesome. As a matter of fact, I'm actually working on a triple het project with the albino, pied, and clown. If I actually hit a visual, I might actually breed it to another recessive. Maybe the Sunset makes some quadruple hets, which would be pretty awesome. As a matter of fact, the more I think about it, the more I may just kind of have my whole collection kind of goes towards multiple hets. I can have my racks full of all these triple hets and quadruple hets. That would be kind of interesting when you're, especially if you got up to like the 5 head, the penta hets. That would be really crazy. Jeremy Yarish, what's up? Hey Chris, I traded your live feeding advice for my albino and he ate. Thank you so much. Yes, I assume that is a live mouse. I've had snakes fast for months, and you throw a live mouse in there, almost every single time they'll go back on food with a live mouse. So some people are against live, but let me tell you, if you have a snake that's fasting a long time, it can definitely work. All right, Justin, first time here. Glad I could finally make it. Welcome. Ray Daly 69, what's up? I'm already like 50 questions behind. Lots of questions. Let's see. How long can my baby ball python go without eating? Yeah, so if you have a baby, you don't want to let them go more than, I'd say, maybe 2 or 3 weeks maximum as far as the baby. Depends on how big the baby is. So if you have a hatchling, I would definitely go to like a live mouse hopper for a first meal, and then eventually you move up to frozen thawed mice, and then you go to a frozen thawed rat. And if they get stuck anywhere kind of in the transition, then you always want to go back to as a matter of fact, I actually have some here in my collection where I went from a live mouse hopper to frozen thawed. They ate a couple frozen thawed, and then for whatever reason, they just absolutely refused to eat. And in that case, you have to go back to the live mouse hopper again. In cooling, what is up? Sonic Boomy, what is going on? Go Chaos Gamer, do you have corn snakes? No, I actually had one corn snake, and as a matter of fact, I just bought it for a video. And then I kept it as a pet for a while, and I eventually sold. It was a really big, it was like the biggest corn snake I've ever seen. His name was Big Red. He was pretty awesome. Yeah, I just have the 2 reticulated pythons and then all ball pythons. Alexandra Friedis, how do you feel about mixing bamboo with superfire? So keep in mind the superfire is a black-eyed leucistic, and as far as I know, I don't think there's any gene that can actually break through the pure white superfire combination with 2 copies of the fire gene. So yeah, you mix superfire with bamboo, you'll end up with a superfire. As a matter of fact, unless you actually started with like a super bamboo, you wouldn't know if it was in there for sure a lot of times, because the superfire would completely hide that. Although if you bred that, you would make half bamboo fires and half fires, which would be pretty cool. Let's see, Justin, asphalt enchi would be good. Yeah, so if you actually make the enchi with the freeways or the highways, if you put enchi with the freeways, then you get the Mardi Gras, which are pretty awesome. Jesse the Boss Gaming, what's up? Welcome to the Grow Tent. That's a cool name. Hey, Chris, I just picked up an adult 2100 gram DJI Mojave female off Craigslist for $500. Wow. That's pretty crazy. 2100 adult female for $500. That's a really good price. Yeah, sometimes a lot of those deals are like, oh, what kind of a one-time deal? People tell me about, yeah, I picked up a bamboo for $100 or something like that. I'm like, man, they're just giving them away at that price. Sometimes you can get really good deals. Sometimes you can get free snakes over on Craigslist too, which I've actually done before. Let's see. Didn't know that about the enchi. Just got into morphs. Yeah, so I actually have a video about the enchi. As a matter of fact, I think I have a couple videos. I have one called, I think it's the variability of the enchi and how they can be really variable as far as the pattern reduction. And they call it, oh, Bobby, what are you doing, Bobby? Bobby hasn't squeezed my neck like that, whew, in a long time. He's getting squirrely. Oh, all right, come on, come on. He used to do that a lot when I first started putting him around my neck, but he hasn't done that in a long time. This is Bobby, my bamboo ball python. Melinda, hello, what's going on? Let's see, how many questions are in mine? I might have to jump ahead. I think the last live stream, I actually jumped ahead like 150 questions because I was so far behind. Above and below, what's up? Any reason a full-grown female will go off of food right before I try to breed her? She's still over 3,000 grams, but has not eaten in 2 months. Yeah, so I've actually recently changed my game as far as breeding my females. What I'll actually do is if you have a 3,000 gram female and the body condition looks really good, even though she hasn't been eaten, I would definitely breed that female. Because I found last year, I was actually doing this last year, and it seems like the process of pairing up the males and the females actually stimulates them to eat, which is pretty interesting. So I almost guarantee if you actually put a male with a female, take the male out after a few days, and then wait a few more days, that female will most likely go back on food for probably a month or two until she starts developing eggs. But it's kind of a neat trick to get females back on food, is adding a male, which is pretty interesting. Parker Woolvine, what's up? Hey, Chris, have you ever had your snakes get a bad sickness? No. The only thing that I've had here in my collection are mites. I had mites early on. When I was up to, I think I was up to like 20, 25 snakes or something like that when I first started. And I was buying a whole bunch of snakes over on Morphmarket, just kind of, when you start out, you're just kind of obsessed with buying snakes. And I didn't have any kind of a quarantine or anything. And the reason I didn't have a quarantine is because I bought 20 snakes over just a few month period, like the ramp up period when you're first buying snakes. And I got mites bad, really super bad. I dealt with those I was using sprays and everything, and oh, it was awful. I actually went to like a paper towel substrate, and I was spraying down every single tub every single day and vacuuming the carpet. Oh, it was awful. Finally got rid of them. Let's see. Been a week, got another up to 6. 6 ball pythons. It's Bobby's fault. That's funny. Mark Hall, just wondering what you'd make a male and female push each other around when trying to pair them up, or is it something normal? So sometimes when you pair up, the males and the females can push each other around. Sometimes you'll hear them kind of getting frisky in the tub. Roger Gray, what's up? Are you producing any more genetic review videos? That's a good question. I went through pretty much all the genes, all the single genes. I went through all the 2 gene combinations, the more common ones. I did a lot of the 3 gene combinations. I haven't done a gene review in a really long time, so I'm not sure if I'm actually going to go back and do some more reviews of some genes. I'm not sure if I'm going to go that direction or not. All right, Caitlin. Hello, Chris. First time live viewer. Usually just barely miss it. All right, welcome to the live. Can you ship snakes to Canada? So I've had quite a few people ask me about shipping snakes to Canada, and I got a quote on shipping, and the shipping to Canada was like between $600 and $800 to ship to Canada. And let me tell you, if I was selling like $10,000 snakes, I might consider it, but I don't really sell that high end of snakes, at least right now, so definitely not worth it to ship to Canada. Let's see. How do snakes end up with mites, and how do you get rid of them? That is a good question. So mites, essentially what it is, it's a really small little insect. It almost looks like a tick, but it's almost the size of like a piece of pepper, like a salt and pepper shaker. Super tiny little bug, and it actually sucks the blood of the snake. And there's a few ways you can actually get them. Hey, did you see Bobby yawn right there? That was pretty cute. So one of the ways you might not know that you can actually get mites is just by walking through a reptile show. You can actually have a mite crawl on your clothes, and then you bring that home to your reptile room, and it can actually crawl off of your clothes and infect your collection. But usually, I'd say it's from buying a snake with mites that already has mites, and then you put it in like one of your enclosures, and then it gets, they multiply really super fast, and then those mites just crawl out and crawl all over your room, on the walls and the floors and everything. They're just absolutely everywhere. And there's sprays, and there's stuff you can spray on your snakes, stuff you can spray on your substrate. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can actually use. There's a little like the pest strips that you can use. But pretty much anything you use. There's also predatory mites that you can use to get rid of mites, which is kind of interesting. It's a mite that eats the bad mites. It's probably the safest way, but probably the most expensive way. But a lot of your sprays and everything like that are really harmful to your snake. So you have to be really careful when you're using some of that stuff. All right, just bought a $200 female, normal, 2,500 grams. It turned out to be a male. $200. Wow, that's pretty amazing for a 2,500. If that would have been a female, that would have been a pretty good deal. For a male, yeah, $200 maybe. That may be a decent price for a male just because it's so big. But yeah, that's a real bummer. Just received Rocky and Bones. Yeah, 2 snakes that I recently shipped out. Awesome. So I've been shipping out a lot of snakes. Seems like every few days I'm like shipping out roaches and snakes and a whole bunch of stuff that I've been shipping out. Let's see. Fishing for life. Eventually you do so many of these, you run out of questions. I actually haven't run out of questions yet. When I first started, I would run. As a matter of fact, let me scroll down to the bottom. Yeah, so I'm not too far behind. on these questions. But usually it's kind of interesting because a lot of times on these live streams, the questions will kind of build up and I'll get way behind. And then right when I hit about 3 hours, it kind of thins out as far as the people on the live stream. And then I'll finally catch up and usually answer all the questions by the time 3 hours is up. But yeah, I haven't really run out of questions. When I was doing my 12-hour live streams, I ran out of questions a few times. I was like, all right, I'm out of questions. Now what are we talking about? We're just kind of hanging out for 12 hours. That was an interesting live stream. Let's see, just picked up a nice 1,500 gram female pastel. Nice. I actually have a nice female pastel that I picked up as part of a package deal. Yeah. Yeah, it's always nice to pick up big female breeders. Oh, 900 grams. That's not a baby. Yeah. So, so if your snake goes off of food, I think this is the food question. You have a baby that goes off of food and it's 900 grams. I'd say more than likely you're up against the 1,000 gram wall, where I'd say a lot of your snakes will just stop eating about 900 to 1,000 grams. And sometimes they'll go off of food for months just for no reason at all. You can try like a live mouse to get them back up, but I'd say just kind of wait it out. Just keep trying to feed them every single week. All right, let's see. I'm so happy that you dominated the YouTube algorithms for ball pythons. That's because I have so many videos. I have like 1,200 ball python videos out there. You're the first video to come up on any subject. Thank you for what you've been doing. Yes. Took a long time to get that many videos. Yeah. So I actually started a couple other channels that I've been working on. I have my motorcycle channel. It's called My Motorcycle Obsession. That's finally monetized. I'm making money from My Motorcycle Obsession. I actually just started another channel kind of off topic about sourdough bread, which is completely off topic. I thought, yeah, it'd be kind of interesting. It seems like a lot of the sourdough videos get a lot of views. And I came up with this name, the Sourdough King. And as a matter of fact, I was kind of promoting it on someone else's YouTube live stream. And then I did a search for the Sourdough King. And I realized that Burger King had a sandwich named the Sourdough King. So I'm like, oh, my channel is dead. You actually go over to Google and search the Sourdough King and you get completely dominated by all the Burger King sandwich stuff over there. So I actually made a new channel called Sourdough Love. So it looks like that one's pretty safe. I want to start doing some sourdough videos on the side. Maybe sell some sourdough starters online, which would be kind of interesting. Completely off topic there. Some of the other stuff I'm kind of working on here on YouTube. All right, Dirty Dex Tino. Hey Chris, plan on breeding in the future? I have a question about hatchlings. When they hatch, do you leave them in the box in the incubator until they shed, or do you put them in the rack? So yeah, I've actually seen people, when they hatch out ball python hatchlings, they'll actually keep them in the box in the incubator until they completely shed out. What I actually do is I wait until all the hatchlings are completely out of the eggs, usually way before any of them shed, and then I'll put them up in the hatchling rack. And in the hatchling rack, I use like I used to use like a paper towel for my hatchlings, but I found that the paper towels can mold quite a bit. So what I just use, I put them right on the coconut husk substrate right in the hatchling rack, and then I don't even feed them until after they shed. Most of the times they won't eat until after the first shed. All right, George E. Mystic male or yellow belly ultra male? Ooh. Depends what you're going for. If you have a mystic, you can actually do like a mystic Mojave and make the mystic potions. Those are like it's almost like a purplish blue-eyed leucistic, which is kind of interesting. You can kind of go down that road. With the yellow belly ultramel, that one seems like it would be A little bit higher end of a snake versus the Mystic with the yellow belly and the ultramel. With the yellow bellies, you can go for the highways or the freeways with the asphalt or the gravel, and the ultramel is pretty awesome. It's a recessive, almost looks like a coral glow, the ultramels, but it's recessive instead of codominant. I would probably go, personally, I would probably go with the yellow belly ultramel and then work that into like either a gravel or an asphalt to make the highways and the freeways. If you can make like an ultramel freeway, that would be something right there. Thanks for the answer. What is your biggest challenge as a business? And do you find selling hatchlings a problem? So personally, I don't find selling hatchlings a problem just because I think of my YouTube channel. Anytime I have a problem selling hatchlings, I just make a hatchlings for sale video. It seems like they sell all really super fast. It seems like my biggest challenge as a business, I would say, when I first started out, I'd say the biggest challenge that I faced is trying to work a full-time job, trying to do the Ball Python business, and trying to do YouTube and take care of all my animals. And it seemed like I was never getting enough sleep. I was always running out of time. That was definitely, I had a lot of money, but I just did not have enough time. And then it seems like lately, since I quit my day job, probably the biggest thing is not running out of money at the end of the year. So like this time of the year, I have, plenty of hatchlings that I can sell. I have all the other sources of income. But when it comes to like when I run out of hatchlings at the end of the year, and then there's kind of the gap between selling all my hatchlings to when I start making money off my hatchlings again, as far as just surviving as a business, I would say, right now it's kind of interesting, the different challenges you go through as a business. And probably, once I start, making better combinations that are more high end, once I start making more money on YouTube, and then that won't be an issue. I'm sure I'll run into other issues as I grow and expand. Probably what I'll do after that is if I start making some really good money, I'll probably expand a little bit, get a few more racks, and then probably I'll be up against the wall as far as, just the time taking care of all my hatchlings and everything. That's kind of the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge, I say, right when you first have a whole bunch of hatchlings, is trying to feed all your hatchlings twice a week. It's the time and the money invested as far as that. Let's see. What would you say is the best way to tell the difference between scoping and stargazing? Not sure what the difference is between those. So stargazing is what you'd see in a lot of your spider combinations. Sometimes you get kind of a weird head angle tilt on stargazing. Wow, you sold Big Red. Yeah, I sold Big Red. I sold Big Red. That was my big corn snake. Pretty much just getting. As a matter of fact, I might get a boa. I was actually thinking maybe getting rid of Big Red and getting into get a big female boa or something like that, which would be pretty cool. All right, Steven, had my first successful clutch last year. Nice. Mojave, Orange Dream, Yellow Belly to a normal female. No normals. Wow. Pretty awesome. So Mojave, Orange Dream, and Yellow Belly. So that's 3 genes to a normal. So what would your odds be on that? I don't know, 1 in 8 maybe that you actually get a normal? 1 in 16? I have to do the calculator on that one. But yeah, congrats, no normals. All right, Jeremy, have you ever had to force feed a really stubborn snake? Yes. So usually the only time you really, a lot of people kind of frown on the term force feeding. A lot of people say it's assist feeding. You're assist feeding, you're not force feeding the snake. But essentially what you do is you take the rodent and you put it right in the mouth of the snake. And the only time you really want to assist feed is when you have a hatchling that has never eaten anything before. They don't really know what food is, and sometimes they can get really confused. And this year, I'd say I didn't have any that I needed to assist me. As a matter of fact, last year, I didn't have any at all. But the years prior to that, it's kind of interesting. One year, I think I had like 5 or 6 really stubborn Ball Python hatchlings that I had to assist feed. And one of them actually assist fed like 6 or 7 times. It was pretty brutal before I finally got it to take a live mouse hopper. Let's see. My killer queen bee het clown looks very close to Bobby. Interesting. So, yeah. Huh. So, yeah, sometimes you can actually mix certain genes together. Killer queen bee, it's probably the spider in there. You mix it with certain genes and it can look really similar to what Bobby, this bamboo looks almost exactly like a spider. That's why I really like the bamboo. Pretty much as close as you can get to a spider without risking the neurological issue of a spider ball python. Toemaster, what's up? Roger Gray, are there het markers for Desert Ghost, Axanthic, or Genetic Stripe? I don't believe so on any of those. I don't think there are any markers. So, you know, sometimes, you know, with the het pieds, you can see the tracks on the bottom sometimes. With the clowns, sometimes with the clowns, you'll actually see a brighter color in the het clowns with just one copy of the clown. Thoughts on Cohab ball pythons from Go Chaos Gamer. I would say most people consider ball pythons to be solitary animals where they'll only have one ball python per tub or per enclosure. But I have seen some people where they'll put a whole bunch of ball pythons all together, which I would not recommend putting a bunch of them together. I've actually seen males fight, so you probably don't want more than one male per enclosure. I have seen one instance where someone actually had a really big enclosure where they had a full-size male and a female together full time, all the time, and they said they just reach in and pull out eggs every single year, which is pretty amazing. It's the only time I've ever heard of that. But I'd say most of the times, if you actually take a male, put it with a female, keep them together full time, normally what happens is both of them will actually go off of feed because they'll go into a breeding mode kind of full time. And I've actually seen, like in some of my king snakes, I tried it before with some king snakes. You put a male and a female together and both of them absolutely refuse to eat for a really long time. And especially if you start with really skinny snakes, you could run into some problems keeping them together full time. All right, William Molina just got a black pastel het pied. She has a lot of orange on her belly towards the end of the animal and nowhere else. Do you know if this is a trait of the black pastel? Interesting. Yes, I would say it's probably a combination of the black pastel and the het pied. Sometimes the het pied can kind of jumble up the pattern on the bottom of the snake. So a lot of times you'll actually see some effect from the het pied. And then I would assume if you actually mix it with the black pastel, you could definitely get some orange on the belly from that. Are there het clown markers? So I've actually noticed in almost all my het clowns, they're actually a lot brighter than a lot of snakes. It seems like it really brightens, similar to kind of like a het ghost. Het ghost kind of does the same thing too. Hey, looks like we have a new member. Nice. Roger Gray, welcome to Fan. Nice. Thank you for becoming a channel member. Yeah, so I've actually seen some people with the het clown say, some people claim this, I haven't actually seen it, but some people say like right from the vent to the tip of the tail, underneath the tail, they actually have a line that comes right up underneath the snake on the het clowns, which I haven't really seen in any of my het clowns. So that's Kind of interesting. Some people say it's on every single het clown that they have in their collection, and some people say they never see it. So I'm not sure how reliable that is. All right, let's see. Is there a discernible difference between pewter and sandblast? Got a girl off a breeder whose last clutch was a pewter cinnamon, het pied. Some hatchling look close to urban camos. So sandblast is actually a gene. Let's see. Let me look something up real quick. Make sure I got this here. Yeah, pewter is pastel and cinnamon. So there's definitely a difference between them. The pewters can kind of look like sandblast, but the sandblast in some cases actually looks like someone almost took like a sand blaster and blasted off some of the pattern on the snake. But yeah, you can actually get some interesting combinations with the pastel and the cinnamon and the sandblast. You can make some urban camels. All right, what's up? Love the channel. Thinking about breeding a lesser clown to either a Mojave or to a vanilla het clown. Would be my first breeding project. So yeah, keep in mind if you breed a lesser clown to a Mojave, you can actually end up with a blue-eyed leucistic, the all-white snake with blue eyes, which would be the lesser Mojave, which would be pretty awesome. The vanilla het clown would be pretty awesome too. Yeah, I think that'd be a good pair. Either one. All right, what male would you buy? I have 1-year-old females, lavender albino, firefly, enchi, ivory, and banana. Those are all your females. What male would you buy? All right, let's see. Lavender albino, I would probably do something het for lavender. Or what you can actually do, you can take the lavender albino, you could breed it to a pied and go for the dreamsicles. That would be pretty awesome. I think the dreamsicles are still pretty expensive if you're looking for a good project. The firefly enchi, that's the fire, the pastel, and the enchi. I would probably go with like an orange dream or a super orange dream with that. Or something like orange dream pastel would be pretty cool. Ivory is the super yellow belly. You can do I would take an ivory, breed it to like an asphalt combinations. Go with the freeways. The bananas, I would do banana enchi is one of my favorite bananas. So there's a lot of stuff you can do. As a matter of fact, if you could take the different genes from all those, you could take the ivory, the banana, the enchi, and work it all into asphalt. You can make like a really high-end Mardi Gras. That's probably what I'd end up doing with all those genes eventually, because you breed those snakes and then you get the hatchlings. Then you can take the hatchlings and breed them back and intermix all those hatchlings together. Eventually, you can get up to where you're doing like a banana, fire, pastel, enchi, yellow belly, asphalt. That would be an amazing snake. You'd have like this really crazy Mardi Gras combination. Let's see. Trying to convince my girlfriend to let me start a breeding operation. Any advice? I keep hoping the money will be enough to convince her. Yeah, so pretty much the biggest hurdle if you're starting into breeding snakes is make sure they're not afraid of snakes. That's the one thing. You definitely don't want someone that's afraid of snakes. All right, can I breed snakes for a living and how many would I need? Yeah, so you can breed snakes for a living. If you have the right snakes, all you need is 2 snakes. If you have some snakes that are worth like $10,000 and you're producing whole clutches of like 15 eggs, you can actually make a living off of just 2 snakes. Assuming they actually breed every year, because if they don't breed every year, then you'd be busted for the year. But yeah, so Really depends what you invest in. If you invest in all normals, if you have really low end, cheap snakes, it'd be hard to make a living, I'd say, with really, like if you just had all normals and you're breeding all normals, you have to produce, I don't even know if you'd break even just breeding normals. Let's see here. Wait a minute. My computer just glitched out. Nice to see you live again. Do you ship to Canada? No, I don't ship to Canada. Roger Gray, what's the best reptile show in the US? I'd say if you want the best reptile show that I've ever been to, probably the NARBC in Tinley Park. It really depends what your definition of best reptile show. So I've actually been to the NARBC. Well, I don't know if it's like that now. This was pre-pandemic, but man, you get into that show, and when it gets really busy, like on a Saturday early afternoon, I got to the point where there's so many people in the NARBC, I was just shoulder to shoulder, like jammed in the aisles. I could not move for like 5 minutes. I was just, if you're claustrophobic, you'd probably go crazy at that show. There's just so many people, and sometimes you can't even get to the tables to see the snakes. But, you know, as far as, you know, all the top breeders at the NARBC, you see like the best, the highest end stuff, all the new stuff coming out. I actually went one year and they had the Stormtrooper. They're actually showcasing the Stormtrooper Ball Python by JD Constriction. So if you want to, you know, meet all the big breeders and everything, definitely the NARBC. Which snake has the prettiest eyes in your collection? I'm not sure. I would say maybe some blue-eyed leucistics. Bobby has some pretty eyes, so it's kind of interesting. Almost looks like almost like a goldish, almost the same color as the rest of them. I don't know if you can see his eyes on my phone, my phone camera. I'm actually using my phone for the live stream. If it could focus. There, you kind of focus a little bit. He's kind of interesting eyes. I think he's got pretty eyes. One of the prettier eyes. All right, Brian Patterson. My female pine, who is 1,317 grams, will not eat frozen, thawed, or live rats. She did eat an ASF. Yeah. How do you switch? Yeah, that's the So if you have a female that's like 1,300 grams or more, sometimes if you haven't really converted them over to rats at that point, sometimes they can get stuck on mice or African soft furs. So what I would actually do depends on what it's actually eating right now. You can do, what I would actually do is feed like an African soft fur and then wait like maybe like half an hour and then go back in with like a frozen thawed rat. A lot of times if you feed them one thing and do like a smaller rodent that's not like real big, like it's gonna bulge out of the snake, like maybe half the size of the thickest part of the snake, feed it an African soft fur, and then about half hour later, after it gets kind of the taste of the African soft fur, you can follow up with a frozen thawed rat. And a lot of times they're still in that feeding mode where they'll just grab anything that comes in the tub, so you can try to do it that way. I actually had a mouser that I tried that with. I'd feed a mouse, and then sometimes I'd go in with a frozen thawed rat. Maybe half the time it would eat it, but it seemed like I could not get that thing transitioned over to frozen thawed. Like the first time I go in with a frozen thawed rat, it just wouldn't take it. So sometimes it can be pretty frustrating. Yeah, snakes and kids going to court. Yeah, I don't know about that. That's politics there. Can you do a video of snakes and children? No. So I don't do any kids stuff here on my channel. So I don't know if you're kind of aware of what was going on with the whole YouTube and the kids and everything. there's a big lawsuit a while back where YouTube was targeting kids under 14 with ads, and they had a big lawsuit and they sued YouTube, and they came back, and now they're punishing the creators. And now we can't have kids on our channel that are under, I think it's under 14 years old. They can't even appear on the video. So if I'm doing like a video at one of the reptile shows, and there's a bunch of kids, especially if they're like talking into the camera, I'll actually completely cut them out, because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. It's so ridiculous. I always thought, yeah, it would be kind of cool to do a kids channel, because it gets so many views. Everyone has kids, and then they kind of shut that whole thing down. And a lot of the kids channels were completely demonetized, which is crazy. Let's see. If your Dinker project proves out to be a new gene, you should name it Sourdough. Yeah, I can do that. Sourdough. Matthew Christopher, what's up? Glad I made it. How's it going? Joshua Foreman, love your videos. Dirty Dex Tino, thank you for your videos. Thank you. All right, Juan Cordero, thinking of getting a female super pastel and breeding with my vanilla pinstripe. That's kind of interesting. I really like the vanilla. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite combinations is super vanilla with just about anything. Same with super pastel. I actually made a video about super vanilla. You should actually check that one out. You make super vanilla with almost anything, and you get some stunning combinations. It's kind of the same way with super pastel. Pretty awesome supers. Do you have any of the morphs that you recommend to me to breed to my Enchi up for sale? I actually have, I do have some snakes over on my Morphmarket. So as a matter of fact, I'm thinking about maybe posting another 10, thinking about maybe doing another video. Some of these snakes are getting pretty big. So yeah, so if you see some snakes over on my site, just about anything. Really depends what you're really interested in. Yeah, but Enchi, pretty much my number one thing with Enchi is banana. I absolutely love the banana Enchis. Let's see. All right. 24 rounds. How's it going? Can you do a run through on how to start getting your retic females ready for breeding? I've been trying to breed my retic female for like 5 years, and it will absolutely refuses to breed. I actually saw a lock last year and I had no eggs. So some people, as a matter of fact, some people say that reticulated pythons need to be at least 5 years old for the females to breed your reticulated python. So I'm kind of learning about it the hard way. It's been a long time with my retics. I don't know if as a matter of fact, I just paired them up last week. I just separated them yesterday. So we'll see if I get some reticulated python eggs, which would be pretty awesome. As far as getting it ready for breeding, I would just feed it really heavy, a little bit more than normal, kind of on the heavier side, kind of increase your feeding, and then just pair it up and hope for the best. All right, Dino, hi from Australia. Wow, down under. When setting up an incubator for snake eggs, should you put the thermostat probe in the tub with the eggs or outside the tub? Good question. So what I actually do, there's kind of a big debate as far as where to place the probe in your incubator. And I actually take the probe and put it directly on the heat tape. And that way it precisely controls the temperature of the heat tape in your incubator. And I found, if this is, for example, some people say to take the probe, put it in the middle of the incubator away from the heat tape. And essentially what happens is your heat tape is on high and just like super hot on the side of your incubator until the temperature in the middle of your incubator reaches the set point, and then the heat tape turns off. And what I actually think, it kind of cooks the egg boxes that are closest to the heat tape, especially if you don't have really good circulation in there. So I just put it right on the heat tape. As a matter of fact, what I do is I put the probe on the heat tape, and then I'll take a separate thermometer and I'll put it in the middle of the incubator. And sometimes there is a difference between the probe on the heat tape versus the temperature in the middle of the incubator. And that's what I'll actually look at, the temperature probe in the middle of the incubator. So I'll actually, sometimes I can actually increase it to, I think this year I went to like 91 or 92 degrees on my heat controller. And then the temperature probe in the middle of my incubator was actually 90 degrees. So that was kind of interesting. Ever thought of opening your own store? I actually had a reptile store once. Well, it wasn't a reptile store, it was a pet store. Yeah, and I actually closed it down. That is another story for another live stream. Yeah, that was an interesting experience. All right, if I breed next year, would love to get the ARS, but which one, the 55 or the 70s? So, yeah, so I would go, personally, I would go with the 70 series as a matter of fact, if I did it again, what I would probably do is I would skip these, like right behind me, these grow out racks. I'd probably skip the grow outs and I'd go right to the 70s. I'd probably have hatchling racks and then go right to the 70s. The problem is a lot of your adult ball pythons, they'll outgrow just about everything except the 70s. And then a lot of times you'll have like these grow outs that are kind of that are kind of half empty or full of snakes that are really jammed in there. So I don't know. I've seen some people go with the smaller tubs, and I would think it works if you're like really moving your projects along really super fast. So for example, I've actually seen people they'll take like a female and they'll grow it up to breeding size, and they'll breed it like once or twice, maybe 3 times, and then they'll get rid of that female and then replace it with one of the new combinations that they actually made. And sometimes you can actually do that. Maybe keep buying males and keep replacing your females to really speed up your collection. I've seen a lot of people do that. But if you're not replacing your females and you're just kind of holding on to them, kind of like I do, they will definitely outgrow all these tubs, these grow out racks. How do you price your hatchlings? Good question. I normally go over to Morphmarket, and usually on Morphmarket there's kind of a range from like a low end to a high end. And usually I would say a lot of times, well, it really depends on the hatchling and the market as far as the price. But a lot of times you'll see, you know, I don't know. I'd say you'd have to be somewhere between the low and the high end over on Morphmarket in most cases in order to price your hatchlings, unless it was like a world's first or something like that. And then you kind of go with what you think it would be worth based on similar combinations. Big Birdie, how's it going? You should get a super dwarf retic. I don't know if I want to go down the road of super dwarfs. Yeah, I probably won't get any more retics. I'll probably just have the 2. Let's see. Is Morphmarket worth it just to sell 2 ball pythons? Yes. So I think if you just sell 2 ball pythons on Morphmarket, it's actually free. I don't think you have to pay anything over on Morphmarket. I did some bad impulse buys. Yeah, so what you can do, if you can find like one of your local reptile stores, if you have a local reptile store, a lot of times what you can do is you can kind of go in there and see what they have. If they have something that you'd be interested in, I can almost guarantee that they'll take your other snakes in trade for another ball python with some different genes. You know, I go to the reptile store, they'll take almost all my frozen rats, they'll take all my ball pythons. Essentially what they do is they just flip them, and you know, you won't get, you know, full market value for them in most cases, but they'll definitely give you some credit. And if you do store credit, a lot of times they'll give you retail for store credit, which is pretty awesome. All right, Ephraim, Philadelphia here. What's up? Let's see. Where should I buy a pastel ball python? Good question. If you can, what I would actually do is I would go to one of your local reptile shows where you can actually pick it up and hold it. So if you're actually looking for one of your first ball pythons, especially if you're kind of intimidated by snakes, a lot of times it really helps to pick them up and really see the attitude and the temperament of some of your ball pythons. As a matter of fact, when I sold at a reptile show, I'd have certain hatchlings that I would like. People would say, "Hey, I want to hold that snake." I was like, "You sure you want to hold it? Because it bites everyone that holds that snake." So sometimes it helps to go to a reptile show and to see what you're actually getting into, especially if you're just buying like a pastel. Or if you're not really worried about the personality, a lot of times you can go over to Morphmarket. It seems like on Morphmarket you might have like a higher, like a bigger selection to choose from. A lot of times you can maybe get like a higher end, a more impressive pastel over on Morphmarket. How many snakes are manageable part-time? Depends what you define by part-time. I would say the hard part about breeding snakes is when you have the hatchlings. So you can have 40 snakes, which is kind of like what I have as far as my breeders. You have about 40 snakes, and then once you end up with like 100 hatchlings, then you have 140 that you have to take care of until you can feed those hatchlings and advertise them and sell them and put them on Morphmarket or whatever you're going to do with the hatchlings. The hatchlings is what really takes most of your time, which can be completely unmanageable, and it can kind of hit you by surprise. All right, you're making me really wish I could hold my Boll Python, but he is shedding. Yeah, usually I hold Bobby here around my neck, whether he's shedding or not. As a matter of fact, in one video, he was actually shedding right on my shoulder. He's like breaking through his shed, which is pretty awesome. All right, let's see. Brandon Henry, just starting to get red belly. How long do you think until shedding starts? Yeah, so a lot of times when a snake gets a red belly, it's kind of the really initial phases for shedding. I'd say maybe about a week or week and a half after it gets a red belly. Austin, why is Chris underrated? You rock. Thanks for all the info. Hope your channel continues to grow. Hope to see 60,000 subs soon. Yeah, I'm already up to 51,000. That's crazy. Can't wait to hit 100,000. That's when you get the first plaque, the play button, silver play button, which I didn't think I'd ever get there, which is kind of crazy. Roger Gray, channel member. Thanks for being a channel member. Let's see. I bought my first ball python this week. It was a DJI Mojave lemon fly. What is a lemon fly? Never heard of it. Lemon fly. Good question. I don't know what that is. You sure it's not lemon fly? Not sure. Let's see. What is Bobby doing? Let's see. That urban camel gene is bad. My buddy at Blind Strike just hatched them. They are pretty awesome. Let's see. 24 rounds. Is there anything special you have to do to get your females to ovulate, or does a few different locks with your male do the trick? I've actually seen locks without ovulation. So when a snake ovulates, essentially that's like when it kind of swells up. When it ovulates, you know for sure it's going to lay some eggs. I've actually seen some locks from ball pythons. I've seen females that lock over and over and over again, and a lot of times you won't get eggs even though they lock. So I think you need the combination of the locks with the male, at least several locks in a year. I try to do at least 5 different pairings with my males and females. And you have to make sure that the female gets enough food. I think that's the big thing. If your female is not eating well enough, then a lot of times you won't get the ovulation, which leads to eggs. How do you get blue colors? As a matter of fact, I think I did a video on blue ball pythons. I'd say most of the times when you have blue or purple in a snake, most of the times they actually the blue color completely fades. It's kind of a juvenile ball python thing, and in most cases you won't get it. Like in your bananas and your coral glows. There was another combination. I can't remember what it was. It was something with I think it was the super stripe, a super stripe combination that was really super blue. There's another gene in there, but as the age of mature, normally you lose a lot of that blue color. Let's see. I entered a few multi-gene snakes into the morph calculator. It said I could get a rainbow. So if you don't know what like a certain combination is, you can actually come over here to Morphmarket. Rainbow. I'm not even sure what a rainbow is. Type in rainbow. Well, yeah. So I don't think this is red. The rainbow is actually a recessive gene. Yeah, you're not going to get a rainbow with a multi-gene combination. So unless you have like 2 het rainbows or something. Rainbow, it could be a slang for something else, but if it is, I'm not sure exactly what it is. Matter of fact, I've heard of that before. A rainbow. Oh, I can't remember what it was. There is a rainbow. It's not on the genetic calculator. It's not on Morphmarket, but I think it's a certain combination of genes, the rainbow. Can't remember what it was. I knew what it was like 3 years ago when I first discovered it. I hatched a Boll Python over a month ago, and he still won't eat. Yeah, so if you just hatched a Ball Python and it won't eat, what I would actually do, I would put a mouse hopper in that tub or enclosure with that snake, and I would actually leave it in there for like 24 hours or maybe even 48 hours. That's kind of like the last ditch thing that I do with hatchlings. And then if they won't eat that live mouse hopper, then you'll have to start assist feeding that hatchling. So yeah, over a month, you definitely don't want to go longer than like a month or so without trying to assist feed. That's kind of a bummer in that situation. Let's see, what's the best morph that's cheap but pretty? For a second ball python, something cheap and pretty. I would go with super pastel. That's what I would do for a cheap, pretty second ball python. Then everything you breed it to will be pastel. It'd be a pretty good breeder. All right, SS Sarah wrote us. Please clarify what would be the most appropriate for the snake size enclosure be for a baby male hatchling. Yeah, so the baby hatchlings, you can actually you can even keep a baby hatchling in like one of those like the shoe boxes, those plastic shoe boxes. You could probably start like that, like a hatchling tub like this. You could actually go to the ARS Caging website and look up the dimensions on their tubs, on their hatchling racks. That's what I would do. And then you can kind of figure out the length and the width as far as the size of the hatchling tubs. Any tips on identifying specter gene in combos? Good question. Not that I know of. not that easily. Wow. So I was actually, this just jumped to the bottom of the comments. I'm like way behind. Way behind. Maybe 100 comments behind. Wow. We've been going for 59 minutes, 47 seconds. 97 people on the live. Wow, I think that's a record. All right, let's see. All right, Heather. I'm starting my first project. My female is an Orange Dream Enchi Fire, and I'm pairing her with an Enchi. What can I hope for? Yeah, so you can actually go over to the World of Ball Pythons or Morphmarket. They both have genetic calculators where you can plug in the genes and look at all the different combinations. So you'll get the Orange Dream, the Enchi, the Fire. You pair it with the Enchi, so you get all the combination of all those genes. Plus, you'll get normals. Not very likely you'll get a normal with 4 genes at play, but you get like the Super Enchi, the Enchi Orange Dream, the Enchi Orange Dream. Yeah, all that Enchi Orange Dream Fire. Super Enchi Orange Dream Fire would be all the genes together. Let's see. I have a champagne het pied female. Nice. So kind of the interesting thing with the champagne is a lot of times when you take champagne, you breed it to a pied. All the offspring that are champagne will look like pieds. They'll be champagne het pieds with just one copy of the pied gene. And from what I've seen, if you actually make a champagne pied, it's a completely white snake, which is pretty interesting. Let's see. I want to start breeding. Do I just pair male and females and hope for the best? What should I know before starting? A lot to know about breeding ball pythons. So if you're starting breeding, I would get a scale. Make sure your female weighs at least 1,500 grams before you put the male in there, and the male should be at least 500 grams before you pair it with your female. That's probably the biggest thing that you want to keep track of. Yeah, you just put the male with the female and hope for the best. And keep in mind, when you're breeding ball pythons, a lot of times it takes pretty much 12 months from the beginning all the way to the end as far as pairing, and then after they lay eggs, and then they start eating again, and then you pair again. So usually when you start pairing on a certain date, you're pretty much locked into that date every single year if you want to breed year after year. So I kind of pick a date. I pick October the 15th, which is a pretty good date. One of the things you probably don't want to do is plan your breedings where your eggs are going to hatch like in November, because if your eggs hatch in November, they're ready to sell by December, and then you're thinking about shipping them out in January and February and March, and a lot of times it's too cold to ship your hatchlings at that time of the year. So a lot of times you have to hold on to them for months before you can actually ship them out. So a lot of times, I'd say, usually late fall is a good time to, early fall to late fall is kind of the good time for hatchlings to kind of show up as far as selling them and shipping them out. Let's see. Tanya Mitchell. Hi, Chris and everyone. What's going on? Let's see. When breeding ball pythons, how often do you keep the males with the females, and for how long? So what I actually do is I pair the males and the females for 3 days, and then I'll separate them and then move the male to another female for 3 days, and I'll kind of do that twice, and then I'll give them a break. I'd say I pair pretty much every female with a male at least once a month for like 5 months usually. Kind of rotate it through. I've kind of heard, from what I've actually seen, if you don't keep pairing your males and your females enough times, I'm convinced that you get a higher occurrence of infertile eggs, where you get more slugs from not pairing your males and your females enough time. And I just kind of rotate my males through my females once a month, usually, for 5 months, and then just wait and see if I get eggs. It's not really that hard to do. Let's see. The most baited fishing. Good question. At what age do ball pythons become infertile, males and females? In other words, how old is too old to breed? I don't think ball pythons can ever get too old to breed. As a matter of fact, I've actually seen there's actually a ball python female in a zoo that laid eggs. I think it was like at 65 years old or 62 years old or something like that, which is kind of crazy. So I don't think they really know. I don't think ball pythons, as far as I know, it seems like the bigger they get, the more eggs they lay, and they can live a really long time too. So I don't think there's really a limit on ball pythons like most animals. Let's see. Classy Headbanger, what's up? I'm a rat snake owner and have been for a couple years. This is pretty interesting, yeah. So this is all ball pythons over here on this channel. I don't know anything about rat snakes. What is the funniest name for a ball python that you've heard? I don't know. Good question. Kind of the funniest thing that I've done is for a while there, I was like pulling names out of a jar, naming all my snakes. One year I named a snake Elvis. It turned out to be a female. I thought that was pretty funny. But now what I do is if I have a weird name like that, I'll actually change the label and I'll pull another name if I get something that kind of conflicts with the gender of the snake. All right, let's see. I got a 2-month-old ball python that was eating live pups, I believe, but I want to switch to frozen thawed. But it's been 2 weeks and hasn't eaten frozen thawed. What should I try? I would actually, so it's a 2-month-old. What I would actually do on that one, if it's eating live rat pups, I would probably go to a frozen thawed mouse. And 2 months old really depends on how big the snake is. You know, a little bit like probably between an adult and like a hopper size as far as the size, but I think you can go to like a frozen thawed mouse. Sometimes they can kind of turn their nose up at rats, so you might be able to do that. Leave the mouse rat in the enclosure. The only time I would actually leave a mouse in with a snake for more than like 15 minutes, half an hour, is if you actually had a hatchling that had never eaten and you put in a live mouse hopper. Mouse hopper is completely harmless. It's not going to bite your snake. It won't hurt it at all. So I've actually done it a few times. Leave a mouse hopper in with a snake, like sometimes like 24 hours. A lot of times that'll get like a new hatchling to eat versus, you know, trying to have to assist feed that snake. How do you know your female doesn't have eggs? Yeah, so that's a good question. So what I do, I actually just pair up my males and my females for 5 months, and then I'm kind of looking through all my tubs, and as soon as I see that first female ovulate, it gets really big and swollen. You know it's going to lay some eggs. So what I do is I just pretty much call it quits, and I separate all my males and females. And then what I do every single day during the egg laying season, I just look at all my females. I only have, you know, like 20 this year. I think I have like 28 females. So I just kind of go through all the tubs and peek really quick as far as the females. And every single day I just look in there, and I don't keep track of the sheds or the ovulations or the timing or anything. I just open the tub every single day, sometimes twice a day. Just kind of peek in to see if I have any eggs. It's kind of like Easter egg hunting. And at the end of the season, if they don't lay eggs, then they don't lay eggs. And then usually what I'll do is if it comes to the end of the egg laying season, I think, hey, this female looks kind of thick in the belly, like it could lay some eggs. What I'll actually do is I'll break out the ultrasound and I'll kind of look inside of the belly of that snake to see if there's any eggs in there. Let's see. I use Reptilinks ASF set on my frozen thon. Yeah, I don't know if you could use, I don't know if a ball python would actually take Reptilinks. If you had something more aggressive like a rat snake or a corn snake, I'd say, you know, a more aggressive feeder might take Reptilinks. I don't know. I've never heard of anyone using Reptilinks for a ball python. Let's see. Yes, I am from the UK. It is illegal to feed live here. Can't find any live. That is unfortunate. Obviously, when they made that law, they didn't know anything about snakes or hatchlings or ball python hatchlings. They, you know, I can see. As a matter of fact, I've actually seen a lot of live feedings where I always think, you know, you could actually feed that snake like a frozen thawed because it's such an aggressive eater. But when it comes to hatchlings, let me tell you, if I couldn't feed live mouse hoppers to my hatchlings, I don't know. It would be really difficult to get a lot of these started. I don't know if I could do it. My rat snake wasn't eating for a couple weeks because I didn't realize she was heat stressed. Yeah, so high heat can actually negatively affect the feeding. All right, Chris Osman. Would it be better lesser fire to a lesser? Would you be better a lesser fire to a lesser fire? I hear it's too difficult to tell if they are super fire, super lesser. Yeah, so interesting. Well, yeah, so that would be an interesting thing. So you may be able to actually tell the difference between that because keep in mind your super lesser is a blue-eyed leucistic. It's an all-white snake with blue eyes. Your super fire is a black-eyed leucistic, an all-white snake with black eyes. So you can definitely tell the difference between the super lesser and the super fire by the difference in the eye color. And then if you actually made the super lesser super fire, so the super lessers potentially could have slightly larger eyes. A lot of your super lessers could have bug eyes. So essentially what you'd end up with is potentially you could have a black-eyed leucistic with slightly bigger eyes, which might indicate you have the super lesser super fire, which would be kind of interesting. So I don't know if I've ever heard of anyone who's actually done that project, but it could be a little bit confusing. But a lot of times once you get into the project and you start thinking about, you know, the eye size and the colors, the other thing that would be kind of interesting too is I think your super fires might be a lot whiter than your super lessers. It might be like a brighter white. You might have a little bit of color coming through on the super lesser. I don't know though. Super fires can have some yellow coming in too. So I don't know if you can have. I don't know. I think it would be kind of a hard project. Super lesser, super fire. All right, let's see. Let's see. All right, I have a snake that all right, Precise 4. What's up? I have a snake that I'm having to assist feed. She won't strike for me. I wonder if you have any tips on how do I do the transition to getting her to eat on her own. Yeah, so normally what I do if I'm doing assist feeding, well, of course, here in the United States, we can actually feed live mouse hoppers. What I would actually do is I would try to feed a live mouse hopper if it's available, or feed a frozen thawed. Let me tell you, if you're going to do live mouse hoppers, you're going to be assist feeding quite a bit, I would imagine, to try to get all these snakes started, which would be a nightmare. But I would definitely try like a live mouse hopper or the frozen thawed first, and if they don't take it, then follow up like maybe even that same day with an assist feeding, and then the next week try it again. Go to the live mouse hopper or the frozen thawed, whatever you have access to, before you do the assist feeding. So instead of just jumping right in every week and assist feeding, I would definitely try something else besides assist feeding. Kind of use it as a last resort every time. Let's see. So I no longer have just the one spider, but I have 6 females. Thank you for the knowledge. Nice. Yeah, so with the spider, make sure when you're actually collecting snakes for breeding, keep in mind you don't want to breed a spider to a spider. Most people kind of frown on breeding a spider to a champagne, or like a spider to like a spot nose. I've actually heard, both of them can have the potential for the wobble. So kind of one of the mistakes I started out is I didn't know anything about the head wobble or anything about the spider, and I started collecting snakes. I ended up with like 5 spider combinations, and then I realized I have all these snakes that I can't breed together because I don't want to hit the super spider, which could potentially have problems. So I would say if you have the spider, maybe 1 or 2 snakes, unless you have a really big collection that contain the spider gene. I just have one spider in my collection, so I can breed my spider with anything in my collection here. At what point do you give up on a female for the season? So usually I start in October, so it's October, November, December, January, February, March. I'll go 5 months, usually middle of March, and I give up on all of them. Some people breed year-round, and they kind of monitor the follicle size with an ultrasound. When they hit a certain size, they just put the male with a female. But I think it's kind of like I just randomly pick dates and just breed my snakes for 5 months and separate them, and I get what I get. Last year was a really good year too. I hit like over 100. Well, it was 99 hatchlings that I had. I think I got like 115 eggs, which is pretty awesome. A lot of slugs, and some that actually molded in the incubator. I had some snakes that like laid a whole clutch of slugs, which is pretty unfortunate. Kind of killed my year for the. Usually I don't have that bad odds with the slugs and stuff like that. Punk Rocka, what's up? Sorry it's late. I had to find some hoppers. Yeah, so yeah, I'm getting to the point where I'm almost running out. My freezer's almost running out of hoppers and rats. I got so many hatchlings. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty much thinned out now to where I think I only have like 50 hatchlings left, something like that. So about half what I started with, so it's not too bad. Let's see. My rat snakes won't hesitate to eat, whether they're assist fed or leave the food in the enclosure. I used to assist feed. So that's one thing with a lot of the other snakes besides ball pythons, is a lot of times they'll eat right off the bat. So ball pythons can be kind of picky. Let's see. What is your process in preparing eggs for incubation, as in bedding use, conditions, etc.? So yeah, so I actually do have quite a few videos on how to set up eggs in the incubator. And essentially what I do is I use 50-50 vermiculite water in the bottom of like a plastic shoebox. I actually weigh it out. As a matter of fact, I actually started with 150 grams of each. If you look at some of my earlier videos, But I found if you actually use 150 grams, it's a little too much on the bottom of the tub, where sometimes the egg gets really close to the top lid of the container. And then I put out like a plastic crate over that to keep the eggs off of the vermiculite. And then I just cover it with press and seal over the top of the egg box. And what I did this year, as a matter of fact, I've had quite a few snakes that would develop and then die in the egg, and I couldn't figure it out. And I was convinced that maybe it was because the snake didn't have enough air in the egg box. What actually started kind of towards the end of this year is I started peeling back just a little tiny corner of the press and seal from the top of the egg box to give it a little bit more circulation of air into the egg box. So, and then I just put it in the incubator at 90 degrees and just pretty much leave it sealed up. I usually go in like after the first month and then wipe the condensation off the press and seal of the egg box. That's pretty much it though. It's pretty much hands off once you put it in the incubator. Just J42JW, what's up? I love your videos. SoCal Savings, any idea what a pastel banana, Mystic, DJI, possible Mojave could produce? Yeah, so you can actually go to the genetic calculator. So that's 4, possibly 5 genes. So you get a random mix of all those genes, including low probability that you could hit a normal. So yeah, you should be able to see all those genes pretty easy. Mystic and DJI, that's pretty cool. They're both kind of dark genes. Where would you recommend going to learn more about possible combinations and results? Yeah, so they actually have, as a matter of fact, you can go to Morphmarket. They have a genetic calculator over on Morphmarket, and you can plug in all the genes in the males and the female, hit calculate, and then you can actually see all the results. They actually have one over on the World of Ball Pythons too. And as a matter of fact, over on the World of Ball Pythons, you can actually click on the results, and in a lot of cases, it'll actually bring you to the picture of that snake, which is pretty useful. All right, let's see. I put the heat probe inside my enclosure, taped to the side of the hide on the warm end. Yep, I've seen some people do that. I always like to put the probes directly on the heat source to keep the heat source exactly at a certain temperature. Let's see. Let's hear the pet shop story. Yeah, the pet shop story. I actually told the pet shop story once before on another live stream. So I actually started up a pet store, and I basically got ran out of town by all the other big pet stores. They actually, I guess you could say, blackmailed my suppliers to where I couldn't buy anything anymore. Of course, that was back when they would actually, bring it to your door back in the 80s. We actually didn't have computers. We didn't have, you couldn't just, go over to, Amazon and order stuff. It's a completely different world now, but yeah, it was I had a pet store for a little bit in a little storefront. Python genetics are beyond bamboozling. Yeah, it's pretty confusing with Boll Python genetics. Let me tell you, there's a lot to learn. Do you have male snakes that outgrew the growouts? Yes, I do have a male that I need to move into another. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about getting another ARS 7030. Some guy is supposed to sell me a used one, and I have a male that's right on the edge of outgrowing my grow. All right, Getty Garrett Table. Getty Garrett Table. I met your brother. He's a great machinist. I saw a tall dude that looks like you with the last name Hardwick. Yes, that is my brother. He's a machinist. Yes. As a matter of fact, he told me about you. He's like, hey, one of my students. I think I said it was one of his students. A reptile, I am Bobby. Yes, this is Bobby. Flexing Pythons. How's it going? I'm sure I'm like way behind on these comments. Let me look at the very bottom here. Way. I'm not that far behind. All right. What's been your favorite pairing over the last few seasons? Probably my favorite pairing. I had one snake that I actually produced that I sold. Was actually a visual desert ghost. It was a pastel desert ghost. It was so bright. It was like blindingly bright yellow. It was probably the best one. My favorite pairing this year, I actually made 3 visual albino pies, which is pretty awesome. I'm definitely holding back one of those. This year I actually produced bamboo, calico, pastel, pinstripe, female, possible het desert ghost, which kind of changed things. As a matter of fact, I had one over here I thought was the same thing, but I think this one that I was actually breeding this year, I don't think it has the pastel in it because it looks completely different. So had some pretty good snakes. As far as what I'm pairing this year, one of the best ones I'd say, I'm actually breeding my triple hets this year, my albino pied clowns. I have 2 females and 1 male, hoping for the triple visual albino pied clown, although the odds are like 1 snake in 10 years of pairing. So not very good odds on that one. But I should get some albinos and clowns and pieds and a whole bunch of stuff, which would be pretty cool. Another pairing that I'm doing this year that I'm really looking forward to, I'm actually pairing up my scaleless heads, hoping for a completely scaleless snake this year, with the pastel, the pinstripe, and the lesser gene in that combination, which is pretty awesome. All right, Steven Anderson, what's up? My snake is named Bobby also. Nice. That's a good name. Let's see. The Friendly Bandit. What's up? I bought a BEL at a pet store, but they did not have genetic history. Ah, yes. What's the best pairing to figure out its base gene? Has a slight base stripe that is barely visible. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I've been to a lot of reptile shows, and people come up to me and they'll say, hey, Chris, check out my blue-eyed leucistic. And I'll be like, that's pretty cool. What are the genes in it? And I'd say probably 90% of everyone doesn't know the genes in their blue-eyed leucistic. As a matter of fact, you can actually take that blue-eyed leucistic, breed it to another blue-eyed leucistic, and get whole clutches of blue-eyed leucistics. And sometimes even the breeders don't know what the genes are in those blue-eyed leucistics. But yeah, as far as proving it out, I would probably breed it to, like, if you have like a normal female, you could breed it to that. You could, just once, just to kind of see what you have, which would be kind of interesting. Then you'd know for sure. Half of them would be one thing, half would be the other. And as far as blue-eyed leucistics, I actually did a video on it. I think there's, I can't remember how many blue-eyed leucistics you can make. I think it was like, it's like over 30 different types of blue-eyed leucistics with all the different genes in the blue-eyed leucistic complex. Let's see. I would say, of course, you can eliminate some of those in the BEL. If it's pretty white with no pattern coming through, a lot of times you can eliminate certain genes. A lot of times your lessers or bamboo combinations will actually have more pure white. Some of your Mojave combinations will actually have a lot of pattern coming through. Sometimes if you see kind of a purplish color, sometimes you can kind of figure out that you might have Mojave in the mix. I don't know why Bobby's choking me tonight. What are you doing? All right, True Trey Ents, what's up? Is it better to leave my male rat in with the females full time, or should I take them out after a few days? So, good question with the rats. I used to rotate my male rats through my females. The problem is every now and then you'll take a male rat and put it in with a mature female, and for whatever reason that female just absolutely does not like that male rat. I've actually seen them fight almost to the death in those tubs, which can get really brutal, which is really weird. So what I'd probably do, if you're rotating your males through your females, I've actually seen some people where they recommend rotating the females through the male tubs for the rats, which is kind of interesting. And the problem is I actually leave my males in with my females full time, but the problem is before the first litter is weaned, you'll actually have another litter right behind that. So sometimes you have to actually go in and kind of manage the offspring versus manage the adults is kind of what I do. So what I'll do is, I'll feed some off, and then, if I have, it's too many like pinkies, I'll take all the pinkies and I'll put it with one female, and then I'll take kind of the weanlings that aren't completely weaned, and I'll move those over to another female and kind of mix and match and move them around. And a lot of times you can do it that way too. But yeah, it can, organizing rats can, it can hurt your mind trying to figure out how to do it. This is, you're thinking about it all the time. All right, how do I, balance all these rodents? The easiest way I've actually seen is if you kind of rotate the females through the males, and then as the females are pregnant, actually put them into separate tubs, and then have the females have the offspring. But that can kind of slow you down too, because if you keep the male in with the female full time, the female will become pregnant while she's still nursing. So potentially you'll produce more offspring in the same amount of time. Let's see. Can you pull out my favorite boy, Bamboo Calico? As a matter of fact, I was looking at him just now. He's stuck in the shed. He is stuck in the shed. I was just going through my tubs. I'll have to bring him up to the kitchen sink. I brought a couple more down. I don't know why. I don't know if we had seems like I've been going through a lot of water, and I had a couple snakes stuck in the shed. But yeah, here's another one I could pull out. Let me see if I have one. I'll pull out a snake for you. Oh, this is my favorite one of the year, I think. This is an amazing snake. This is Bobby's granddaughter. Take a look at that one. That is a wild snake. That is, whoa, don't want to drop her. That is my Bamboo Pastel Pinstripe Calico female. Look at how big she's getting. Pretty big. Some really high white on her. I had another one that was just like this that I thought it was the same thing, but it didn't come out as white as this one. So I think the other one doesn't have the pastel in it. Then I have another one like this that doesn't have the bamboo in it, which is another really crazy snake. Really cool. Let me show you that one. That one's pretty cool. I'm actually holding that one back too. I never produced anything like that. I haven't produced anything like this either. So this is the same thing. Look at that one, how bright it is. Super bright, crazy looking snake. And that one is the same thing without the bamboo. So this is a pastel pinstripe calico possible het desert ghost. Really crazy looking snake. I didn't even know that I could make anything like this. Super bright too. That's pretty wild. That guy's name is Slim. The girl's name was Ozzy. Yeah, pretty cool hatchlings this year. I have some good holdbacks. Let's see. Best starter morphs. Ricardo Ostiguin. What's up? Yeah, so best starter morph, I would say probably something dominant or co-dominant. I'd say probably like your pastel, pinstripe, lesser, Mojave, something like that. Depends what your budget is too. You can move up to like a bamboo. Bamboo's a pretty good starter morph, I'd say. Let's see. Anyone breeding coffees? Yeah, I haven't heard anything about. I haven't seen a lot of coffees. Coffee's a dark gene. Visual Desert Ghost, a visual enhancer. What do you get? Yeah, so as far as I understand, I think Enhancer and Desert Ghost are compatible from what I've heard. So if you take a Visual Desert Ghost, breed to a Visual Enhancer, the Desert Ghost looks pretty similar to the Enhancer, and all the offspring would look like Desert Ghost or Enhancers. It would be like a visual double het. Some people, I'd say most people consider Desert Ghost and Enhancer completely different genes. There are slight differences. So I did a video on the two and they look so similar. I was convinced they were the same. And then you start talking to some of these breeders and all the breeders will say there are differences between Desert Ghost and Enhancer that you can definitely separate the two. So that's probably one of the things I wouldn't do is actually breed the two together because it could get really confusing producing, you know, like a half Desert Ghost, half Enhancer. Yeah, so that's probably one I would avoid. Jesse the Boss Gaming, you, my friend, are a vault of knowledge. Yeah, that's because I did 1,200 Boll Python videos. Yeah, I spend like 8 hours a day researching all this stuff. Yeah, so yeah, and probably half of it I got wrong. So I'm always learning, always correcting myself. And you know, Ball Python genetics, that's pretty complicated. You know, I'd say even the experts can disagree with each other on a lot of the genetics and some of the issues with ball pythons. All right, Jay, what's up? Rack system is my holdup. I planned on building one myself, but running into a lot of obstacles. Is it easier to buy a rack, especially having 3 to 4 snakes? Yeah, it's definitely easier to buy a rack. As a matter of fact, if I start over again, what I would actually do is I would buy you can actually buy an ARS 7010, which is like the 70 series tubs for like a full-grown adult ball python. You can actually buy them by the individual level, and then you can just buy individual levels and stack them on top of that too. That's the way I would definitely do it. So 3 to 4 snakes, you can just buy like 4 levels of an ARS 7010, which would be pretty awesome. Then you're not buying like a whole rack either. And I remember when the individual levels, I think were like $100 a level or something. It would come with a tub and the heat panel and everything. And then you have to buy the casters, and then of course there's shipping on top of that. Samantha Winslet, what's up? Bobby must be cold. Looks like he is hugging you. No, we are not cold here in the reptile rooms. So right now it is 48% humidity and it's like 80 degrees in here. So it's pretty warm and humid. Let's see. Let's see. This is Millerin Madness. What's up? I'm starting year 2. All my hatchlings I bought last year are year-old lavender, albino, firefly, enchi, ivory, banana. Yeah, I already answered that question actually. All right, Paradox B3. Is there a morph or morph combination that you personally don't like the look of? They're obviously all amazing, but we have our own preferences. Which ball python morph don't I like? Good question. I don't know. The ones, I would say the ones that I don't like, or that, I don't know. I'd say some of them are kind of challenging. Like for instance, like asphalt. It seems like a lot of combinations with asphalt, you really can't see it. Or like Spectre, you mix Spectre and with combinations, and a lot of times you can't see it. But you mix asphalt with yellow belly, and of course you get the freeways. But some of those, like that, they only have like certain things that you have to mix with them, or you can't see the gene like most of the combinations, especially if you have like multiple genes and then asphalt on top of it. A lot of times you can't tell it's in there or not. So I'd say those are the ones that drive me crazy, that I really don't like. That I don't know, it might keep me from actually getting into those projects because they're really difficult. But yeah, I like them all. I don't know. I might even that one. I might actually buy an asphalt at some point. All right, Ethan Quigley. How do your racks get heat? Yeah. So I actually have a video on how a rack system works. If you want to take a look at that one. And actually, I actually pull the tubs out of my rack system, and then right on the back of the tub, there's actually a heat panel that goes across. Like on this one, it goes across all 4 tubs, a heat panel in the back. So there's a hot side on the back and then a cold side up on the front. Let's see. Reptile Basics sells racks. It's just getting them in stock. I waited, missed the first, bought the second time, and they were sold out in one day. I can believe it. It seems like, everybody's getting into ball pythons. A lot of people are producing hatchlings, and the kind of the bottleneck seems like it's the racks. It seems like a lot of the rack suppliers are like way behind. I know in these ARS, I think they were like months behind as far as ordering one. Mary Fife, channel member, how's it going? Hi, Chris and Bobby. I got Lefty yesterday. She was a little feisty, but fine today. She's a spitting image of my 2-year-old. Nice. Congratulations. Yeah, that was a ball python I just shipped out. Reptilink scent. You just squeeze the juice onto a frozen thawed. Oh, I didn't know they had a Reptilink scent. That's kind of interesting. Huh. I'll have to check that out. Huh. Let's see. Yes, thought about buying a rack for me to start, but just wasn't sure if it would be cheaper to build one. So I actually, as a matter of fact, if you actually look at these ARS racks, I actually built some transitions between 2 different size racks. I have kind of some metalworking equipment in my garage, so I can take some of the steel tubing and cut it and weld it all together and paint it. And I actually sat down and figured out if I was to build one of these racks from scratch and then buy the tubs from like ARS, I don't think I could even break even if I built my own, which is kind of crazy. I think they must have like a mass, they must get their steel at a discount to kind of cut costs. I don't know how they do it, but if you're actually trying to replicate like an ARS rack, it would definitely be cheaper to, pretty much the same cost to buy it, which would be easier. But yeah, so it depends on what material you use. I would think if you use like plastic or some kind of other like wood sheeting or something. Some people use like can't remember what you call it, but it's like the particle board kind of a laminate that a lot of people use for rack systems, which would be cheaper. Some people just use plastic containers like the Tupperware tubs. That's probably the cheapest way to go for, I've actually seen people do like Tupperware kind of containers on like just a shelving, like a bookshelf or something like that. That's probably the cheapest way to go. All right, Havoc's Rain, what's up? What should I do if the breeder of the feeder is never available? When I ask him, he was a 3-hour trip, and it's been a month since I was able to meet up, and that was frozen, thawed, weaned. Yeah, so you can actually, Yeah, so I would actually go look at like a website like rodentpro.com. They have pretty much some of the cheapest prices at a lot of these really big rodent breeders that'll ship right to your house for like one flat rate, which is pretty good. As a matter of fact, if you could actually go in with someone, find someone local that also needs some rodents, you could actually get like a full box and then just pay the same shipping costs and then split it up between multiple people would be the same. Melamine, yeah, that's what I was thinking of on that rack, melamine. Jacob Martinez, could you breed a white-lipped with the ball python? I don't know if you could actually do that breeding and get a hybrid. I'm not sure. I've never heard of a cross between those. Where's he reading the questions from? Yeah, I'm like way behind, way behind. Not too far behind. I'm like maybe 20 questions behind. Yeah. Yeah, last time I kind of skipped ahead in the questions. I was getting so many questions last time. It was like, I skipped like 150 questions on my last stream. And then someone actually said, hey, you got all the way up to my question, and then you skipped ahead. I thought that was pretty funny. So I'm going to try to hit every single question this time. We're at an hour 45. Maybe we can go 3 hours on this one. All right. Has there ever been a cross between a pied and a pied Burmese? Yeah. I think, there was a cross between a ball python and a Burmese python that someone recently produced. I don't know if you could do, I don't really know if you can actually take genes from a ball python and mix those genes into a hybrid, which I've always wondered if you could actually do that. Mix, ball python crossed with another species and then work up the ball python genes and kind of start a whole new hybrid craze with all the ball python genes in it. I thought that would be kind of cool if you could actually do that. He's behind on questions. Yes, I'm way behind. I'm catching up though. Let's see. Sherry Lynn Madcat. Hello. My turn to come and visit you. Yes. Welcome. Let's see. Michelle Herkelman. Hello. We live in Florida and there's not much of a season change. This is our first year breeding. When should we start pairing? Good question. It really depends on where you plan on selling. So keep in mind, if you're actually selling like on Morphmarket and you're shipping out your snakes, you really don't want hatchlings being produced in the middle of like the winter season in the north, because a lot of times you can't ship if it's below a certain temperature. And as a matter of fact, one year I held snakes for, I think it was like 3 or 4 months during the winter because it was too cold to ship. So sometimes, you can sell like $100 snake and then by the time you actually ship it, that snake is huge and you probably put $100 of rats into that snake. So that's one thing. Get 1 male and 4 females and some cages. Yes. Let's see. Darian's Reptile Hub. What's up? I have a spider that's about a year old and the size of a hatchling, around 260 grams. When she goes to feed, she misses or takes it but won't eat. Should I be concerned or try something else? Yeah, so if you have a ball python that takes the rodent and doesn't eat it, what I would actually do is I'd probably leave that rodent in the tub with the ball python for probably like a good half hour before you check on it. I've actually seen a lot of my snakes, what they'll actually do is they'll take the rodent and then they'll drop it after they've struck it. A lot of times they'll strike it and coil around it, and then they'll drop it and kind of look around like they're not going to eat it, but they almost, I'd say almost always, they always go back and eat the rodent, usually if you give them some time. So I would, feed it, and as soon as they grab it, I would just walk away and then come back a half hour later. Most of the times I'd say they would actually eat it. So, but yeah, if they don't eat it, it's very unusual that a snake would actually grab and wrap a rodent and then not eat it. And sometimes it could actually be that the rodent's too big for the snake. It's pretty much the only time that I've had where a snake will grab the rodent and drop it and won't eat it is because the rodent is too big for that snake. Let's see. All right, so Nateria Wisam 1. I'm a first-time baby ball python owner. I've owned an adult one before. My question is, every time I try to take her out of the cage, she will try to strike at me. Yeah, so hatchlings can be a little bit feisty. So what I try to do is I just try to come from behind the hatchling. I think the hatchling just needs a little bit more time being handled. So I'd probably take that hatchling and just hold it and be real gentle with the hatchling for maybe about 45 minutes. I do like a 45-minute handling session with the hatchling. Most of the times that'll calm down the hatchling. All right, Lashuane Cash, what's up? Hi, Chris and Bobby. Hello to everyone else in the room. What is up? All right. You need a router. Buying PVC sheets is expensive, but so are the racks. Yes. All right, Robert McLee. Hey, Chris, what would you pair with a pastel, Mystic Potion, Hidden Gene, Woma, female? That's an interesting combination. A Mystic Potion with pastel and Hidden Gene Woma. Interesting. So you can actually go, so Mystic Potion is Mystic and Mojave. So you can actually go with, if you bred it to like a lesser, you would actually get some blue-eyed leucistics, which would be kind of interesting. Yeah, so yeah, this pastel, you could do like super pastel. If you go for the bright genes, you could do like the super pastel, orange dream, stuff like that. Super orange dream. A lot of stuff you could do with that thing. Jiva's Gentle Reptiles. What's up? Hey buddies, so what are the 3 things you'd recommend to get starting making videos on YouTube? You want to be a YouTuber? Yes. The 3 things. First, you need a camera. Second, you need a good internet connection, I'd say. Third, you need a channel topic. So that's kind of the big thing as far as the channel. So what I would actually do is I would research videos on how to succeed on YouTube. So there's a lot of people, that's all they do, videos about how to succeed on YouTube. So that'd be a good place to start. You don't necessarily have to make videos about ball pythons. In fact, I think there are topics that would grow faster than videos about snakes or ball pythons. So if you do anything about like money or like finances or how to make money, pretty much the best topic as far as growing really fast and making the most ad revenue. You'll actually get advertisers that pay more for stuff like that. So if you're looking to grow really fast on YouTube, there's a lot of stuff you can do, like car repair is really good too. You can do ball pythons. Let's see. Let's see. Darian's Reptile Hub will also run a 24-hour sticker business. If you ever want to need custom stickers, interesting. That's an interesting business. Yeah, I'm like dabbling in like probably about a dozen different businesses, ball pythons and YouTube, and I sell dubia roaches on the side and duck eggs and chicken eggs. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. Let's see. Brandon Hartson, can I have a snake? If you buy one, you can have a snake. I actually have some posted over on Morphmarket. I don't have any free snakes right now. All right, D Vlogs. I have a DJI Mojave Yellow Belly. Nice. But how do you know where is the yellow belly in the DJI Mojave Yellow Belly? Good question. So I'm guessing whoever produced that snake probably made DJI Mojaves, and they made DJI Mojave Yellow Bellies. So you can actually, a lot of those, I'd say some of them are really subtle. You almost can't tell that, you know, certain genes are in there unless you produce other ones without that gene, and then you can kind of put them side by side. And I would imagine the yellow belly might actually increase the brightness of that thing. So DJI Mojave, I'm thinking DJI Mojave. I don't know if you can actually see the yellow belly checkering on the belly of the DJI Mojave. It might be a white belly on that combination. I'm thinking the yellow belly might just kind of brighten it up a little bit. Let's see. Let's see. Did some people not hit the like button? We have 92 likes, no thumbs down. Wow, that's pretty good. We've been going for an hour 56. 87 people still on the live. 93 thumbs up. Wow. Nuclear Blast. What's up? I'd like to feed Bobby one of my hamsters. He would eat it, guaranteed. Yeah, so I've actually heard hamsters can definitely be as addictive as mice. They can actually get stuck on hamsters. I don't know if you had a hamster only ball python. I don't know if you could sell it. Not many people could get a supply of hamsters. I don't even know where you'd buy, if you could buy frozen thawed hamsters. I don't know. I would think the problem with hamsters, I don't know if they grow as fast as rats. That would be the thing. Ashley Dobbs, what's up? Do you ever come to the St. Louis, Missouri to the shows? No, I haven't been to any other show outside of Colorado except the NARBC in Tinley Park. Oh, maybe, as a matter of fact, I went to another reptile show in California. It wasn't the NARBC, it was another one. I can't remember what it was. But other than those, yeah, I don't really get out too much. I got a lot going on here. Samantha, that was a beautiful color pattern hatchling. Do you think its color will change? I'm not sure on those hatchlings if the colors are going to change on those. It'll be interesting to see. All right, George Perez, what's up? What would be the ideal weight to cross two ball pythons? So most people would say the females have to be 1,500 grams. The males have to be at least 500 grams minimum on your males and your females. Oh, what would you breed? A pastel pinstripe spider with it. Wow, pastel pinstripe spider. So it'd be a lemon blast with a spider. That's an interesting combination. Let's see. I like the super blast. So anything with pastel, you get the super pastel pinstripes, which would be kind of cool. The spider, one of my favorite combinations with spider is the spider calico with some brightening genes with like the pastel and the orange dream, which would be pretty cool. All right, Shadowfire Omega. If a ball python is over 4 feet, how much of a chance would it be that the snake is a female? Yeah, so males and females both get over 4 feet. As a matter of fact, I think my biggest female is almost 6 feet, which is kind of crazy. It's like 5.5 feet. So I don't really know if you can tell the difference between the males and the females by the size. I do know that the females can get bigger than the males, but just look at how big Bobby is. Bobby is really huge. Almost looks as big as a female, which is kind of crazy. All right, Bernard, if you were going to pair a normal male with a female, what morph would you purchase for the female? Normal male. I would probably get a female with at least 3 or 4 genes, maybe 5. The genes that were like co-dominance or something like that, so you get a whole rainbow of different combinations. A lot of times you can actually go over to Morphmarket and sort by the number of genes and then look for, you know, a reasonably priced female with a lot of genes. All right, the L's. Hey, Chris, what do you think about the potential of the zebra? I have not heard of the zebra. Zebra. There is a zebra on Morphmarket. It's zebra. Zebra pastel. From Adam Chesla. That's interesting. It's all from the same guy. Never heard of it. All produced in 2020. I don't know. Interesting new gene right there. Let's see, how far behind am I in these comments? Not too far. At 2 hours, 1 minute, 77 people on still. All right, let's see. The toxic gene is ugly by itself and is a single gene typically, but mix it with anything and it drizzle, bleeds, distorts patterns. Yeah, that's with a lot of genes. A lot of times you'll find genes just by themselves not that impressive until you start mixing it with some other genes. And then they can make some really cool combinations. Sorry, man, phone died. Had to put the kids to bed. Definitely rewatch the live stream. Yeah, that's the cool thing about live is you can always go back and watch it. John Smith. I've used Frontline spray for mites. So I've never used Frontline. I've actually heard of people using that for mites. Frontline, yeah. Muscle Serpents recommends Frontline. Rodent Barn is the best. Rodentbarn.com. Yeah, so it really depends on what you're looking for in rodents. Some of those rodent places actually will vacuum seal their rodents, which I think is a little bit more expensive, but I think it could actually last longer as far as the frozen rodents. All right, Chris Cannon, does feeding them heavy make them grow follicles? So the follicles in the females are essentially the immature eggs inside of the ball python. And a lot of people won't pair up their males and females until the follicles are 10 millimeters. And you want the follicles to grow in order for them to lay eggs. So most people say that heavy feeding and pairing with the males will both stimulate follicle growth in your females. So yes, definitely want to feed them heavier during the breeding season. When you first pair them up, I'd say you'd want to increase the amount of food over the next couple months. Can you do a review on the toxic ball python? Let's see. I haven't done morph reviews for so long. I don't even remember how to do my green screen. Let's see. None for sale. Let me see how much information is on that gene. Or yeah, there's only 4 of them over on Morphmarket. Let's see, over in Europe, none in Europe, none in South Africa. So yeah, there's only 4 of them, and they're all mixed with other genes. So I actually don't see just the standalone gene for that one. So yeah, I definitely need more information as far as just the standalone gene, so I can kind of pick out some of the characteristics, and then that gene mixed with more of the other genes to really get a feel for what it does before I can do a morph review on it. All right, Earth Central. Is it normal for a male ball python that is barely a year of age to be already approaching 3 feet long? So yeah, so the length of a ball python can be pretty deceiving. As a matter of fact, someone actually just asked me, they're like, hey, I'm buying this hatchling. How long is it? I stretched out that hatchling. I can believe it was almost 2 feet long for like one of my almost brand new hatchlings. So I don't know, 3 feet long. I don't normally like stretch out a hatchling and measure it. So I'm not sure exactly. And it's kind of deceiving too, because when they coil up, it doesn't really look like they're that long. Crazy Ball Python Genetics. What's going on? Hey, Chris, how are you doing? Cool that I catch you live. Nice. Let's see. All right, Outbreak Exotics. I have a black pastel pinstripe hypo female. What would you throw into it to make an interesting clutch? Thinking Orange Dream. So that's kind of interesting because you have black pastel with hypo. And usually when you have a dark gene with ghost, you'll actually get like a steel gray snake, which is kind of interesting. And you have pinstripe in there too. What you actually could do is you can add more dark genes that are het hypo, like maybe GHI het hypo, or you know, if you kind of like the steel gray looking snakes, you could also do like a black pastel het hypo, and you get a super black pastel hypo, which would be like a completely steel gray patternless snake, which would be pretty awesome. Of course, with the super black pastel, you have some of the potential genetic issues with some of the unusual kind of the shape of the head. Sometimes the shape of the head on those super black pastels can be kind of like scrunched in a little bit. Some people think it looks cute. Some people think it looks kind of a little different on the super black pastels. Mark De La Cruz, how often do you change the substrate? Yes, I would say I try to change all my coconut husk out at least once a month. If you let it go longer than that, I would say a lot of times it can start smelling off a little bit, and it seems like it kind of decreases their feeding response if it kind of goes, if it smells bad. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of running out of substrate. What I've actually been doing is I've been kind of thinning back my old substrate, and then I'll put the new substrate, just like a maybe about an inch of new substrate on top of the old, just to kind of freshen it up a little bit and kind of stretch out my blocks. And it seems like it's been working really good to put a little new substrate on the old to kind of save a little bit of money and kind of stretch it out. Well, right now I'm actually in the process of ordering a pallet of the coconut husk chips, and they're on back order. I think they said until like November, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, I'm pretty much doing the best with what I have, kind of stretching it out a little bit, but usually it's once a month. Ideally, I'd say it's once a month to change your substrate. Let's see. Gavin James, what's up? What's the best substrate for my adult in an Exoterra front open with heating pads? So yeah, so the best substrate for me is the coconut husk chips. I really like how it really absorbs all the smells. It holds in the humidity. The thing I really like about it is you can actually have a lot of moisture on the bottom of the coconut husk chip, and it forms like a really solid mat on the bottom, and then the top is still dry, so the snake's kind of crawling around on a dry substrate where it actually will let the humidity slowly come up from that substrate. And I like the smell of it when it's fresh too. All right, Dennis Hammond, what's up? How can I tell if a male ball python is actually ready to breed? My firefly clown's around 500 grams, but I don't know if he's actually ready. So 500 grams, that's like right on the edge. If your snake is 1 year old or younger, I would say if you breed it to your females, you might have like a 50% chance of him actually breeding your females. So what I would actually do, you could try to do it if it's your first time. Make sure your females are at least 1,500 grams if you're breeding. 1,400 grams, I'd say, maybe the bare minimum for a female to breed. But I've actually bred a male 400 grams before. And keep in mind, if you actually have a 500 gram male at the beginning of the season and you start pairing it up with your females and you continually feed that male week after week after week, by the time you get halfway through the season, your male's already 600, 650 grams. So sometimes, 500 grams is like a good starting weight for the season. But if it's 1 year old, I found that I prefer pretty much to make sure my males are 2 years old before I start breeding them, just to make sure they breed everyone. I use Reptibark. I have not used Reptibark. I'll have to check that out. What bamboo combos do you suggest other than blue-eyed leucistic combos? Bamboo goes good with calico. Someone actually asked to see this snake stuck in a shed. I'll show you a snake stuck in a shed. Let's see. Slightly stuck in a shed. Not too bad. Not too bad. But look at what calico does to the bamboo. Beautiful. He almost took a bite out of me. I'm actually breeding this snake. Just separated him, and he's like ready for a rat. As a matter of fact, I just fed him yesterday. He ate 2 rats yesterday. So, but yeah, it really works good. So that's bamboo calico. It looks really good with the bamboo. The other one you can do is, well, I think this one's wrong, I think. So I thought this one, wait a minute. This is one of my holdbacks from last year. I actually had this one marked as a bamboo pastel pinstripe calico, but I think this one is just a bamboo pinstripe calico without the pastel. So this just is the same thing with the addition of the pinstripe. I thought this had the pastel in it, but I actually produced another one this year that has the pinstripe, which is this one over here. I'll show you this one just so you can see all the additions of every gene. I showed this one earlier. But, all right, this one is really, come on. This one really wants to take a bite out of me. Look at that one. Woo! So this is what happens when you add pastel to that one. Bamboo, pastel, pinstripe, calico. This one actually started out completely white, and the color's coming in more and more. Actually, today's feeding day. As soon as I get done with this video, I'm going to feed these hatchlings. It's hatchling feeding day. But yeah, all those, anything with calico and bamboo, and you add other stuff on top of it, it looks pretty awesome. Kara Shea says, hey, what's up? Let's see. George Perez, what was your feeling or expression when you saw the first ball python that you produced? You remember exactly what it was? Yeah, so the first year I produced a lot of ball pythons because I bought a whole collection of females. And my very first clutch, when I produced eggs, I actually lost the whole clutch. I killed them all. They all dried out and they all completely flattened. I did not know what I was doing when I first started out. So that's the first thing I remember was my first clutch I completely destroyed, which is pretty awesome. But after that, I can't remember what the first one was. It seemed like I had a whole bunch. It seemed like I went from really bad luck killing all my first eggs to just this abundance of all these. It was mostly bamboos and bamboo combinations that I produced. I actually paired up Bobby here around my neck. It was my first year with all those females, and I must have produced like 30 bamboos and bamboo combinations my first year. I produced a whole bunch of snakes that first year, which is kind of crazy. Cheney 50, would Bobby bite you? This snake would not bite me. Take a look at this. This snake, I don't know if I can force feed him my finger. This snake will not bite me. No way. As a matter of fact, I did draw blood from the snake once. I think he was yawning once, and I reached back and got my hand stuck in his mouth while he was yawning. It was an accident. But no, he would never. The only way this snake would bite me is if I was feeding him and he missed the rat and hit my hand, maybe accidentally. Bobby would never bite me. All right, Leslie asks if I want to become a ball python breeder, do I need a license? So no, here in Colorado, you don't need a license. Depends on where you're breeding or keeping ball pythons. As a matter of fact, I was looking into Costa Rica. Had a lot of friends move to Costa Rica since it's really nice there. And in Costa Rica, apparently just to keep one ball python, you need to go through like multiple years of paperwork and logistics just to keep one ball python. So people in Costa Rica don't even have ball pythons. And in some places, ball pythons are illegal. So you definitely want to make sure you know your local laws. But I don't know if you need a license to breed ball pythons anywhere that I've heard of. All right, it looks like we had our first super chat after 2 hours and 17 minutes. Wow, thank you for the super chat, Jeremy, in Canadian dollars. Nice. Jeremy Kehoe, what's up? Thank you for the super chat. Wow. Yeah, I actually put on, I don't know if you noticed on this live stream. Oh, that's weird. I just noticed that's weird. Well, that's pretty awesome. So he actually gave me Canadian dollar super chat down here in the live stream. You can see it. And then up here on my phone, it actually converted it to American dollars. That's pretty cool. I would have noticed it unless it was my very first super chat. It's pretty interesting. This is almost the same conversion rate. All right, let's see. John Smith, do you have any Desert Ghost hatchlings for sale? So I've only ever produced one visual Desert Ghost. As a matter of fact, I actually have a female that I've been breeding for 2 years. A visual Desert Ghost to a visual Desert Ghost. She has not laid eggs yet, which is maddening. So I have a bunch of het Desert Ghosts, but no visuals. I'm actually holding back some of my het Desert Ghosts too, because I'm kind of giving up on that female. I need something to produce some more. I definitely want to hold back some visual Desert Ghosts at some point. Punk Rocka, what's up? Someone told me about a guy who feeds smaller meals 5 days a week. Yeah, I would say that's not good for a snake. Definitely not good for a snake. I'd say maybe 3 meals a week maximum. I'd say maybe two meals for a healthy snake. I don't know if I'd even go to 3 meals. That's pretty excessive. 5 days a week. Yeah. So I would say for ball pythons, I don't know if you could feed 5 days a week. If you had something like a baby reticulated python, if you've ever seen a reticulated python, just the metabolism, how fast a reticulated python is, it's pretty amazing because you can actually take a really big rodent, feed it to a hatchling reticulated python, which I've actually had a couple of them, and you'll actually have like a bulge in the snake. And the very next day, 24 hours later, that snake just is super skinny and it's just like looking for food, pacing the tank. Super fast metabolism on reticulated pythons. So I'd say maybe in a reticulated python hatchling that has a really super high metabolism, you might get away with feeding 5 days a week, for the first few weeks, but that snake would grow super fast. And then once they get big, you can feed them like once a month, feeding them rabbits or something like that, which is kind of crazy. All right, Crystal, rookie question. But inquiring for future breeding, do you look for more males or females? Females, I would assume. So it's kind of interesting. You actually, when I first started, I would get one male and one female, and then another male and then another female. And then I realized later on down the road that one male can service multiple females. So a lot of people realize that, and then when they're first starting out, they're like, all right, I want females, 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 females. And you get to the point where I am at right now, I don't have enough males to service all of my females, which is kind of a weird problem to have. So I only like to breed up to 4 females per male, kind of just to keep my breeding cycle to, like 23 days, cycling one male through 4 females. If I cycle it through more than that, then my cycle kind of spreads out and I don't get enough breedings per year breeding that male to multiple females. It kind of reduces the exposure of the males to the females. So I would say you definitely need multiple males, but you need more females. So let's see. Well, actually the question was, I guess I misread the question. The males or females to have multiple genes? Good question. So, yeah. So I would say it's almost counterintuitive to think about the genes so when I actually first started out in ball pythons, I always thought most of the genes should be in the males so you can spread it around to all your lower end females and kind of get the best bang out of your male, kind of spreading the genes around. But the problem is, if you think about it that way, it's kind of the way I started in ball pythons is you buy like really high end males, breed it to your really cheap females. But the problem is you end up with a lot of cheap females. I'd almost think you'd want higher end females with more genes, and then later on you can actually upgrade your males, which are faster to mature, to breed to your females. So I guess you can think about it either way, but I think the quickest way to start would be to get some really cheap females with no genes, like some normal females ready to breed, or like some big single gene females like pinstripes or pastels or something like that, and then get a male with multiple genes, breed it through those females, and then start producing an income that you can work with to advance your collection. But then once you get down the road, like to where I am, I was like, I'm almost like I wish I had better females, because keep in mind the females take like 3 years to get to the point where they're ready to breed. If you end up with really cheap normals in your collection, then you're kind of stuck with them. Let's see, Sarah Joyner. What would you suggest as a beginner learning how to distinguish the different morphs? Yeah, so on my YouTube channel, I actually have pretty much a video on almost every single gene morph. So if you're interested in how the genes react with the other genes, is kind of the focus of my videos. You can go over to the World of Ball Pythons. You can actually go over there and look at the individual genes. For example, you can actually pull up the pinstripe on the World of Ball Pythons and then look at through all the examples of the pinstripe and kind of the variation over there. That's probably one of the best places to look. Yeah, but it's just, there's a lot to learn in ball pythons. There's like hundreds of genes. What's the most easiest morph to breed? I'd say they're pretty much all easy to breed. Yeah, the cheap one and the expensive one, it's just a matter of what you can afford as far as investing in it. Moon over Miami, what's up? Let's see, Jamie, hey there, love the channel, what's going on? The Brood Ball Pythons. I want to start a YouTube channel for my Ball Python family and my breeding story. What do you think my first opening video should be about? Good question. I would probably do like a snake room tour. Seems like the snake room tours always do good and just show all your different snakes and your equipment and everything, kind of what you're thinking about as far as the future. GD, how do you go about whacking a rat? How do you euthanize a rat? So yeah, you kind of have to be careful when you're euthanizing rodents. So it used to be in the old days, you'd actually physically whack the rat to kill it. And if you actually look at, you know, some of the rules and regulations, and you look at, you know, some of the kind of the rules around it as far as what's right and what's wrong, a lot of people really frown on doing stuff like that. And in some places it's actually illegal and you get into trouble doing it that way. Pretty much the most accepted way to euthanize a rodent is with CO2. Slowly introduce CO2 into a chamber and they just pretty much fall asleep. That's pretty much the best way to do it. All right, have you heard of the nidovirus in ball pythons? We've recently seen it pop up in our animals in the form of respiratory infection, and it's been almost devastating. Yes, I have heard. There's actually a test for it too. You can actually, I think it's a saliva test. As a matter of fact, I sold one ball python to a guy that he said he was going to test every single snake for that nidovirus before he brought it into his collection because he was terrified of it. And yeah, you can actually do it that way too. Looks like we got another super chat. Thank you, Rosales. Hey Chris, thanks for the tips on raising our little normal ball python. Leah, her hatch day birthday is 10/31 when she'll be 1 year old. Adam and Ryan in Whittier, California. Nice, congratulations. Wow, I am catching up to the end of the questions, and we're up to 2 hours, 28 minutes, 89 people still on the live. Wow. 116 thumbs up. I think that's a record. Wow. That's pretty wild. Can you show the size of an average full-grown male compared to a female? So, I don't know if I can see her name. Seelan Sapahi. Interesting name. Sounds like Hawaiian, maybe. Yeah, so I don't know if there is an average size of a male and a female. So take a look at this. Hey, Moonstone is a fan. Thank you for becoming a fan. Nice. Moonstone ECT. So take a look at this. This is Bobby. He is a male. And I show this to people, and they're like, "I've never seen a male that big." As a matter of fact, he's probably almost as bigger than some of my females, which is pretty wild. So I've seen big females, and I've seen big males. So, you know, I've actually seen some of the biggest snakes that I've seen. Like I have one that's like 5,000 grams. It's a female. I don't know if males could get 5,000 grams. I think Bobby here is like 3,800, which is pretty much as big as I've seen in a male. But yeah, so anything, I'd say anything like above 3,500 grams, typically I would say is probably a female as far as some of the biggest snakes. But anything lower than that, you know, it's pretty much the males and the females. As a matter of fact, I have male and female hatchlings side by side in these trays. Like my triple hets, the males and the females look exactly the same. As a matter of fact, I was pairing up my triple hets. I put the male with the female, and then I went back in. I was going to take the male out, move it in with my other triple het, and I didn't realize they all look normal, and they're all the same size, the males and the females. So I actually had to pull them out of the tub and probe the male to figure out the male and the female. I had to probe them and figure it out, which is kind of crazy. All right, Millerin Madness. What's up? For the wealth of knowledge and entertainment we get from Chris, hit the like button. Yeah, hit the like button. 126 likes. K Sykes TV. What's up? Are juvenile ball pythons more aggressive? I would say juvenile ball pythons are more confused. I would say not necessarily more aggressive. So when you get a hatchling ball python right out of the egg, they're really super docile. They absolutely will not bite anything. And then you try really hard to get them to bite the rodent to actually start eating. And then they kind of get confused. They don't know the difference between the rodent and your finger. They try to bite your finger, and it's like they're really confused until they really figure it out. They get a little bit of handling where you can kind of, you know, tell them that you're not a threat and that you're not food. And they know the difference between the food and the person. So I think it's more of a just kind of a confusion with the juveniles. A lot of times they try to bite you because they think you're food, or they're really scared of you. And a lot of times they kind of strike out of fear. But yeah, most of the times when I get bit, it's from the juveniles for sure. All right, Incognito. That's a cool name. All right, would you breed sibling to sibling or parent to offspring? So yes, most people consider breeding, inbreeding ball pythons is really not an issue compared to other animals. But if you talk to a veterinarian, I'd say veterinarians will say never inbreed any animal, and they would definitely frown on inbreeding even ball pythons. But I'd say it's pretty much an industry norm, especially if you're doing like a one of a kind, or like for me, like I produce these triple hats, and the only way to actually produce visuals is to breed two of the triple het siblings together to get the visuals. So sometimes you just have to actually breed them together. Wow, we got two super chats back to back. Wow. Moonstone. Anyone else have FedEx overnight issues this week? My pin double hat girl was stuck overnight in Memphis. So yeah, I actually shipped a snake day before yesterday, and I saw in the tracking that it was delayed. It was supposed to get there by 10:30, and it was delayed until noon that same day. But I haven't seen it overnight. And if you actually go over to ship your reptiles, they didn't have any kind of messages this week as far as the delay. I bleed KTM. Thank you for the super chat. Nice. All right, Kim. What's up, Kim? I have a question about my ball python. He readily grabs food and wraps it, but has been releasing the food. Yeah, so interesting. Yeah, so I would actually give that ball python, if he grabs it and then releases it, I would definitely give him like half an hour and then come back and check on him. I've rarely ever seen a ball python that'll grab a rodent and then completely just leave it. The only time I've actually seen that is if I'm feeding like a rat that's way too big, and then the ball python will grab it and then he'll realize, hey, this rodent is way too big, I cannot eat this thing, and it'll just leave it. So I might actually go down a size if you're feeding really big rodents compared to the snake size. Maybe reduce the size of the rodent. Ben Potochnik. I probably said that name wrong. Is there anything you can do to help a snake with a head wobble? I don't think there is anything you can do for a head wobble. And usually I would say with head wobbles, I would say they would tend to get worse as they age. So sometimes you can have a slight head wobble, and as they age a little bit, sometimes they can actually increase the severity of the head wobble, which I don't know if there's any way to reverse it. I need help whacking a rat. You need CO2. CO2 is really easy. You just as a matter of fact, you can get the little the CO2 containers from the beverage machines. Just a little, I think they're like maybe 3 feet tall, 2.5 feet tall, and then you can get a regulator and a hose. And let me tell you, that thing will last forever. I go through those. I have 2 of those tanks, and they'll last me like years before I use them up. It's pretty amazing. And then you just run it to like a Tupperware thing and just slowly put it in there. That's it. As a matter of fact, I actually I moved to euthanizing my chickens. If I have a chicken that I want to have for chicken dinner for the night, I'll actually throw it in like a 5-gallon bucket, and I'll just hit the CO2, and it's a lot better for the chicken than, you know, like chopping off their head or something like that, which is kind of crazy. All right, Ancient Times. Hello, love your videos. Can't wait to get started breeding. Nice. Miller and Madness. Are you going to try to breed Lucy the chick again this year? I actually just paired her up last week. I just separated Lucy yesterday. As a matter of fact, Lucy was stuck in a really bad shed, and I put Sunny in there. And Sunny is like rubbing all over Lucy and completely pulled her shed off, which was pretty cool. We're hoping they'll, didn't actually see a lock, but they were all entwined together, so I don't know if they locked or not this year, but it'd be pretty awesome if she laid some eggs. All right, Matthew yeah, I can't say your last name. All right, so what are your thoughts on blue-eyed Lucy's? Yes, so blue-eyed leucistic is actually a ball python that contains 2 genes in the blue-eyed leucistic complex. I actually have quite a few videos on blue-eyed leucistics, and there's probably like, I think there's like 30 different ways to make a blue-eyed leucistic. If you buy a blue-eyed leucistic, you might want to be sure to ask what genes are in that blue-eyed leucistic. Keep in mind, blue-eyed leucistics are also allelic, so if you bring them to something, half the offspring come out as one gene, half come out with the other gene. All right, we got another super chat. Nice. Oh, that's weird. It came up on my phone, and I was like, it didn't come up down here. All right, K Sykes TV. What morph will a super pastel male and wild type female produce? So yeah, you'll end up with 100% pastels. You'll make all pastels, which is pretty cool. As a matter of fact, I think I pretty much decided every time I make a super pastel here in my collection, no matter what it is, I'm definitely going to hold it back. I'm going to try to increase my super pastels and super pastel combinations here in my collection. I absolutely love anything with super pastel. Robert Bailey, another super chat. Wow. Getting super chats at the end, the last 20 minutes. Wow. Robert Bailey, what's up? Hey, Chris, hope you and Bobby are doing well. Thank you for the super chat. All right, David Montero. How many times a month do you pair a male with each female if you have 4 females per male? Wow, Venom Wonderful. Can I get a shout out? Yes, thank you for the super chat, Venom Wonderful. Thank you very much. All right, we have 91 people still on the live. Wow, 131 thumbs up. That's pretty awesome. All right, thank you, Venom Wonderful. Let's see, David Montero. How many times do you pair a male with a female? So what I do is I take a male, I put it with a female for 3 days, move it to another female for 3 days, and then I separate them and I feed them. Usually it's about a week that I give them a break, week and a half, and then I take the male and put it with another female for 3 days and another female for 3 days, and then I'll give them another week off or so. So that's like what, 6 days and 12 days plus another 2 weeks. So that's like pretty much the whole month. Breeding 1 male to 4 females, kind of cycling them through that way. And then I'll do that for 5 months, normally 5 months, and then I'll stop pairing. And then if I get eggs, I get eggs. That's pretty much it. It's not that hard. Let's see. Hate being late. Thanks for the stream. It must be stream. All right. Ben Ratana Prusk, what's up? Hello, I have a black pastel albino. Nice. And Candino. Any recommendations on females? So, both males. Black pastel. So, the black pastel with the albino, if you actually take a dark gene, working in with the albino, you'll actually end up with a high white albino, which is pretty awesome. And the Candino, that's actually the combination. It's like a double het for candy and het for albino, that is a visual that looks like an albino, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so what I would actually do, I think the candies are still selling for pretty good money. So I would probably do like a candy female or a Candino, which is, if you actually had a Candino female, you'd actually produce candies, you produce albinos, and you produce Candinos, which would be pretty cool. That's probably what I would do. On the black pastel albino, which you can actually do, let's see, you could do, let me think. I think you can actually produce a super black pastel albino. If you could buy a black pastel het albino and make the super black pastel albino, I think they call that the cue ball. The cue ball is actually, I've actually seen some cue balls where they're like a completely white snake with red eyes, which has like little yellow speckling all over the snake. It's a pretty awesome combination. Oh, what was that one? Let's see. Alexia and Mirfar, what's up? Do you think it's bad to have a male and female ball python in the same enclosure permanently? Most people would recommend separating your male and your female. I think mainly to keep them from constantly being in a breeding mode where they'll fast. A lot of times they won't eat if they're in a breeding mode. So you just definitely want to separate them and feed them really well. And then when you pair them up, a lot of times they'll increase the feeding until they go into that like breeding mode, and they'll both fast for a really long time, which could be problematic, I think, if you have them together all the time. Bruce, what's up? Hi, Chris. Love and respect from the UK. Nice. All right. Robert Bailey finally caught a live stream. All right. Let's see. What's the best way to get eggs in to suck in moisture when they have lost their humidity and shrunken a little? So, I saw I actually had a fan. Nice. Sarah Wawa. Thank you for becoming a channel member. Nice. Yeah, so I've actually had eggs dehydrate. As a matter of fact, if you actually, one of the reasons I lost my very first clutch of eggs that I ever produced is because I didn't have a really good seal. I didn't keep the humidity in high enough. And essentially what happens is your eggs will shrink and shrink and shrink till they'll almost completely flatten out, which will actually kill the embryo in the egg. And as far as I've seen, once they start shrinking and losing some of that moisture in the egg, I don't think there's any way to actually get it back. I don't think you can reverse it, as far as what I've seen. Yes. Vets don't know anything about breeding. Yes. Let's see. The collector's ball pythons. How you doing? What's up? Dave Sanderson. Why are you so fat? That's funny. Let's see. Waco City Devil. My bumblebee left it one day until I used a pencil to move it around. Let's see. Jacob, what's the trick to packaging on size? I don't understand the question. I think that's trick, not trim. What's the trick to packing on size with your ball python snakes if they don't want to eat? So the more you feed a ball python, the more they will gain weight. So yeah, if they don't want to eat, I don't think you can pack on the weight. It's a trade-off, yeah. So you definitely have to get them to eat if you want to pack on the weight. Jeremy Kehoe, not sure why my comment keeps getting overlooked. Tried the super chat. We'll try again. Oh, that's interesting because this is the first time this is the first time I've seen your name. It could be your words that you're using. I think there's an automatic moderator here in the chat. So if you use certain words, it'll actually delete your message as soon as you type it. All right, let's see. You're really raking in the bucks? Not really. They're pretty good. Actually, I set up my live. I don't know if you noticed. This is the first time I actually did a live stream where you have to be a subscriber in order to do a chat over on the right. So everybody that's chatting all these questions, it's pretty much you have to. I pretty much set it up where you have to be a subscriber to chat. I don't know if it'll increase the number of subscribers, which is kind of interesting. I actually saw it in a live stream today. It was the first time I saw it. I didn't even know that option was available. All right, Waco City Devil, what's up? Where do you get your racks? So all these racks are actually made by ARS Caging, and they are super expensive. I think they're like $3,000 per rack on some of these bigger racks, like an ARS 7030. And I think they're back ordered for like months. So yeah. Well, kind of the cool thing I like about this rack system is you can actually buy it one section at a time. So if you can't afford like the whole $3,000, you can buy just like one or two levels. As a matter of fact, that's the way I started, just like 4 levels. of a rack system over here, just sitting right on the ground. That's the way I started my whole operation. And then, you know, as you actually produce hatchlings, I was actually started out with just a few racks. And when I produce hatchlings, I use my hatchling money to buy my hatchling racks. And then after that, you can use more hatchling money to, of course, just keep reinvesting and buying more racks, which is pretty nice. Boring name Sue. What's up? Hi, Chris. I'm still obsessed with your Dinker project. What's your next move on the Dinker 50% het pied female? So I had my Dinker 50% het pied, but I think I isolated my Dinker gene. I don't know if you've actually seen that snake. So yeah, so take a look at this. Let's see. It's feeding day. Feeding day. I'm getting ready to feed here in about 10 minutes. But yeah, I think this is the gene that I isolated. Take a look at that. I have no clue what this is. That is crazy. So this, I actually bred my Coral Glow to a Lemon Blast. I don't think it's pastel. So yeah. So it's like, it almost looks like it might have pastel in it. I don't know. I'm starting to second guess this. But I think this might be the unknown gene that I isolated from that. So it'll be kind of interesting to see. That's a female too. So, and then my Dinker 50% het pied. This one's kind of interesting too. I don't know. So this is my original Dinker that came from the Coral Glow bred to a normal. And I get this crazy pattern. I don't know what's going on with these snakes. You can only hold back so many Dinkers. I don't know. But this is kind of an interesting Dinker project. Look at the kind of the striping on the top and the crazy patterns on the side, which is pretty cool. So yeah, got some interesting Dinkers. Don't really know what they are. They look like something that I can't really explain. So I'm hoping to, well, both of those are females, so I'm not sure exactly. I'm kind of hoping for a male, something that looks kind of similar to something weird, and then breed it back to those. Try to make the super. Yeah, so the Dinker 50% het pied, I'm actually breeding that to the Coral Glow again this year, trying to prove out the het pied. I actually bred it last year, didn't produce any Coral Glow pieds, trying to do that pairing again with the Coral Glow pied. Looks like we had another super chat. Jeremy, thank you. Keeping a breeding pair in a big vivarium. Thoughts and challenges? I wouldn't do it. I would definitely keep them separate. I knew one person that claimed they kept a male and a female full time in the same enclosure, and they would just pull out eggs every single year. But I would think you might have a problem as far as them going into a breeding mode in like long term, where a lot of them might have a problem feeding them. All right, Amy Moak. Hey Chris, absolutely love your channel. I've learned so much. One day I would love to buy a Bobby baby. Yes. I'm breeding a bunch of bamboos this year. Hopefully I'll have better odds as far as producing some bamboos. Jesse the Boss Gaming. Are you ready to sell me your albino het pied? Yes. Actually, contact me over on Morphmarket. Someone actually asked me about that. I am selling that albino head pied female. Actually, I just gave someone a price on it. So contact me. It's not on Morphmarket yet, but it's a pretty awesome snake. I dropped donuts for Porter. Cool name. I'm looking to buy an adult female lesser, about 2,000 grams, but I don't know how much to offer on her. Do you have any idea what she might be worth? 2,000 gram lesser? I would say, good question. Maybe $500, $800, something like that. A ready to breed female, it could be worth a lot. Yeah, especially a lesser, you can make some blue-eyed leucistics. So I just kind of go as far as, you know, what I could make with that snake. So for example, if you actually had a blue-eyed leucistic and you bred it to that female lesser, and half your offspring came out as blue-eyed leucistics, and you figure you could probably get 4 of them at like $500, you're looking at like $2,000 just in blue-eyed leucistics. So you could do pretty good your first year. So, you know, even if you invested 500, 800, you could, you know, get a pretty good return on your investment the very first year, which is kind of what I look at as far as something like that. Yeah, I would not put your rat in a sock and whack it. Yeah, that is, yeah, you would get PETA going after you on that one. CO2 is the way to go. I actually saw one guy, he used electricity to euthanize his rodents, which is, I'm afraid of electricity. I would never do that. CO2 is so nice because they just fall asleep and it's completely painless. And it's pretty much universally accepted as far as like the regulatory agencies where you won't get in trouble. As a matter of fact, if you look at like during the pandemic when they were euthanizing all the chickens and the pigs, remember that they couldn't find all the meat processing plants closed. Essentially what they were doing is they were euthanizing all those with CO2, which is pretty much the industry standard for euthanizing any kind of an animal. Let's see. Or just toss them in with a snake. I don't. Personally, I don't like to feed live. Let's see. Let's see. My friend John from Underworld Exotics was saline water into a deflated egg until it was of term, and the sole survivor is now my boy. Wow. Wow. That's interesting. See, if you have a deflated egg from not enough humidity, you inject saline water into it. Wow, I didn't know you could do that. That's pretty wild. Always learning something new. I'm 14 and you want to breed ball pythons, have a butter. Where should I start off? So keep in mind, butter's pretty much the same thing as lesser in the blue-eyed leucistic complex. So you can breed it with anything else in the blue-eyed leucistic and make some white snakes, some blue-eyed leucistics. So you can breed it. And keep in mind the butter and the lesser, pretty much the same gene, butter and lesser. If you breed it with anything in the blue-eyed leucistic, pretty much every single time you'll end up with a completely white snake, versus some of them like Mojave, you'll end up with like purple snakes or some snakes with patterns through them. But with butter, you'll get the pure white snakes in most cases. Sometimes you'll see a little bit of pattern coming through. So you can mix it with bamboo, Russo, lesser, mocha, Mojave, any of those genes in the blue-eyed leucistic and get a white snake. That's probably what I'd start with. Yes, make blood leucistics. They sell fast, and they're pretty good money too. Everybody likes the white snakes. Seems like it's everybody's favorites. All right, I bleed KTM. Me and my best friend from my Army days are starting a breeding operation. Do you have any tips for a new startup? Currently, we have 25 balls. Wow, and 6 boas. That's pretty good. Yeah, so pretty awesome. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, just for a new startup. Yeah. Yeah, just have fun, I guess. It's fun breeding ball pythons. All right, Sarah Wawa, channel member. Thank you for being a channel member. Would you consider breeding a super bamboo so you can sell more bamboos? Yes. So this year I'm actually breeding my I actually have my my bamboo calico that I'm breeding to my bamboo pinstripe calico. Should get some super bamboos out of that if they actually breed, which would be pretty awesome. My female might be a little light though. I'm not sure if that female is going to lay this year. Yeah, but if I had a super bamboo, I could definitely crank out some bamboos. That's really what I need. All right, Robert Bailey, channel member. Is it bad to rinse eggs in water? Several breeders I follow never talking about it, even if a egg looks nasty. So I don't know if I would rinse it in water. I've actually seen one breeder that would actually soak his eggs a little bit in a bleach solution, which is pretty interesting. I don't know if I'd have the courage to actually, unless someone else did it and told me exactly the concentration of bleach and the duration of a soak. I don't know if I'd be brave enough to do it, but yeah, that might be one way to kind of reduce your kind of the contamination. All right, Ashley Dobbs. I'm watching Morphmarket for one of Bobby's little ones. When will you be breeding him? So yeah, so this year I won't have any more bamboos. Pretty much sold out of all my bamboos. I will be making more bamboos next late summer, I'd say. Usually start getting eggs in, what is it, April? So like May, June, July, like June, end of June, early July, I'll start hatching. Usually like late July, I'll probably have my first snakes available. Did I make something new? Yeah, so it seems like every year I do make something new. This year, as far as like new, like world's first, I actually made my lesser triple hets. Het albino, het pied, het clown. I actually made 5 of them, which is pretty amazing with the lesser gene mixed in there. So yeah, holding back 2 of those females and 1 of those males for future breeders in my triple het project, which is pretty awesome. Wow, we got a bunch more questions. All right, so yeah, we're past 3 hours. Let's see. I'll scroll through these. Elon Madrana, hello there, watching from the Philippines. Avid subscriber, nice. 55 versus 50 tubs. It sounds like they're pretty close. I'd have to actually look up the dimensions on those 2. Scroll to my comment on the saline water. Yeah, that's interesting. Jessica Ozak just peeking in before bed. See Bobby. All right, have a good night. Let's see. She wants $200 for it. Wow, that was the lesser. Wow, I'll definitely buy that one. Just bought an ARS 5055. Am I going to jail for whacking this rat? You could go to jail. I wouldn't do it. Let's see. James Frederick, what's the highest gene count you have on one of your snakes? I think including One het, maybe 5 jeans is pretty much the most I've ever had. Use hydrogen peroxide. Let me tell you, I tried hydrogen peroxide on eggs. Don't do it. It completely will kill your eggs. It will completely kill your eggs. Ashley Dobbs, I had to feed live for a while. Yeah, sometimes you do have to feed live. The 55 is 0.2 inches shorter. Father, son, reptiles, what's up? We're like ready to end here in like 30 seconds. But welcome to the stream. All right, we hit the end of the comments. That's it. 79 people still on. 145 thumbs up. Wow. All right, I'm hatching out blue-eyed leucistics. Cool. The collector's ball pythons. Nice. All right, so that's it. 3 hours and 4 minutes. That was a pretty good live stream. Usually, it's funny, like right at 3 hours, I always catch up with all the questions. I was like behind like 50 questions for a while, and I just kind of stuck. I think I answered every single comment and question in the whole live stream, which is pretty awesome. All right, so I'm gonna call it. Looks like Bobby is like getting excited for something here. I'm actually thawing out some rodents. I'm thawing out about 50 rodents. Gonna feed my hatchlings here in about 5 minutes, which is pretty cool. All right, so I just do random bits. As a matter of fact, my next video is gonna come out tomorrow morning. It's gonna be a chicken video if you're interested in my chickens. So actually, I had a fox got in and killed some of my chickens. So I raised up some more chickens, and I took a video every single day from an egg all the way until the rooster crowed. It took me like 130 some days of filming. It was pretty much like 5 months filming every single day. So if you want to see me through the whole summer, every single day, pretty much for 5 months, you can check out that video. I'm going to post it tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock a.m. It's kind of it's a 2-hour long video, but it's pretty interesting. I actually sat down and watched the whole thing from beginning to end. It came out pretty good. So that's pretty much it. I'll catch you on the next video, the next live stream. I might do another live stream Sunday afternoon, maybe. Might do another one. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for all the comments and questions and super chats, and I will see you in the next live stream.